I think we should be about live. I'm waiting for confirmation from Euan or Sylvia, my checkers.
Might be a bit slow. There we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
are we online?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me how my volume is, Sylvia.
And then we're gonna start awkwardly with fighting about volume still. Because why not?
Naturally.
I want to give people a chance to find their stream before we start. Dissecting Sonic Frontiers, kinda, maybe.
So I was looking at more of Ryan Bartley's characters, and she also voiced Anne from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders.
Oh boy.
Ooh.
There comes the JoJo references.
I mean, Kyle
Hello.
Hunter is also in Stardust Crusaders, so I could have made that at any point.
By the way, we're here again. Hi, welcome.
Oh yeah.
Hi, it's good to be back.
There's Elise and Erin again. Yes, you recently made a new video on your channel about Sonic Forces. Anyway, Sonic Forces Ultimate, sorry. Oof.
Yeah, no, we talk about, I know, Forces and Frontiers, I mixed up their names still. At the very end, we just talk about, like, brief Frontiers, like, right before it came out, what we thought about it, and then we just called it a day.
There you go, and now we get to follow up. I'm stealing it from your own channel. I'm such a thief.
Yoink.
Or you just get the little prepare for the warming up round now. And then you have to this conversation all over again on your own channel. But yeah, we're going to talk Sonic Frontiers. It's out. So yeah, we're going to go full-blown spoilers, because I'm pretty sure you've already seen all the regular...
Hence the spoiler message in Sonic's eyes.
Yes.
Yeah, it should be on screen too. Yep, I see spoilers. So yeah, we can just go all in on our opinions and thoughts about everything in the game, and gameplay, the story. Yeah. And yeah, I invited Erin and Elise back, because they have strong opinions about the game too. Luke, unfortunately, isn't here, because unlike us, he actually has a life, so he didn't really have time to beat the game entirely yet.
So I'm taking his place for today. Hello, Double Silly here.
Yep. She's
Roger's wife.
She's the one non-Sonic player of our team, so she can give that perspective.
Yay.
And Euan is still here. Say hi, Euan.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you for the thumbnail.
No problem. Everyone had a good chuckle.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
Especially with you being corrupted by the blue screen of death.
That's a very fitting visual, yes. That's me, all right.
Yeah, with you and your computer.
And yeah, Melting Man isn't here because he has some problems, and he had no interest in the game anyway. But he's there in spirit in our live chat, so say hi to Melting Man there.
Yeah. Hello, Melty.
Yeah, he's not the least bit interested in the games because he's not a real fan. We're kidding. I'm just kidding, Melting Man. You are a real fan, even if you don't like the games, because like as long as you like Sonic, you're a real fan.
I mean, if Melting Man likes the comics, Ian Flynn wrote this game, so I thought maybe that would spark some interest.
I also thought that, but yeah, I guess he's not interested. Which is a shame, because I really like this game, and especially its story.
I guess general opinions first, or what are we going to do?
Yes, I think that's a great idea. So everyone quickly say your general thoughts on the game, your favorite parts and your least favorite parts. Just get the basics over with quickly. So let's start with Euan, maybe. Euan, go ahead.
Sure love the fact that all the pressure's on me.
Okay, shall I start? Okay, I'll start.
Yeah.
You're the host.
I think the game is pretty good. Yeah, sure, there's peaks and there's valleys. Generally, I think I had a good time. There's some parts that really frustrated me, but we'll discuss those later. I think generally I give it between a 7 or 8 out of 10. The favorite part is definitely the fights and the bosses. That's where all the Sonic energy and creativity comes in. And like the landscapes were extremely boring. And my least favorite part is definitely how Sonic controls in the cyberspace levels. He feels really stiff, but that's just me. Okay, Captain Sala, what's your thoughts?
Yeah. Honestly, exactly your thoughts. I think the game is really great. I think it's an amazing step in the right direction. my favorite parts were definitely the Titan boss fights. Those were just so amazing. They made me feel like I was playing Metal Gear Rising. And yeah, interestingly, my least favorite part was also how Sonic controls in the cyberspace levels. Even though I did like the cyberspace levels, not because they're the most like Sonic Unleashed. In fact, I feel like they're worse than Sonic Unleashed, but I think they provided a good challenge. I went ahead and, of course, completed every mission on every portal. So, and I felt it felt very satisfactory to do so, just because like it was a nice challenge, and it was a fair challenge too. But it is weird how it controls, because like if you homing attack an enemy, there's always a huge pause afterwards, which is so weird.
So yeah, for those who have it on PC, I hope there's some good mods soon. And I suddenly realized I should have given Erin and Elise the first round because they were a guest. I'm a terrible host. So Erin,
No,
you're fine. I didn't want to go first anyway.
You want to go next, Liz, or do you want me to go?
Can you go next, Erin?
Sure. So I actually wrote it down because I didn't want to yap forever. So, I find the combat and the boosting around a Sonic to be extremely fun, and I like the 3D cyberspace levels, even though they are a little stilted. And I think this has some of the best Sonic bosses in Sonic history. And the story is amazing, Sage is a great addition, and the music is honestly more incredible than usual, and I'm really satisfied with the game overall. As far as negatives go, I think the jumping could be better. You lose all of your momentum the moment you jump, and the pop-in is abysmal, honestly. Some of the gameplay elements could have been handled better. They were handled better in previous boost games, even with Forces having, like, a much better air boost than this game did, and this is the same engine as Forces, which baffles me. But, there are a few exploits. I don't know if you know this. By the way, anybody, you wanna boost forever in this game without having to do the infinity symbol with the side loop on the ground? All you have to do is rapidly press right trigger instead of long pressing right trigger. Then you get infinite boost and it never goes down. I hope they patch that. Yeah. So overall, my rating's the same as Roger's. 7 out of 10, a high 7.
All right, Liz.
Okay. All right. Overall, I'd say I really did enjoy Frontiers. My favorite parts were the open hub worlds, and actually, I did enjoy the cyberspace stages. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Those were actually really fun for me. I don't know. I guess I get an enjoyment out of broken mechanics or something. The Titan boss fights with with Supersonic were fun. It's just one of the negatives with that is that I didn't have enough rings on the first Titan, and Sonic lost his super form and then got eaten by that Titan, and I was genuinely disturbed by it. So I would say that's a negative, but it's a very minor one. I'm just like, okay, note to self, don't die in these Titan boss fights if you don't want to experience that again. I also did enjoy the cat fishing more than I thought I would. So yeah, that was fun. I did like that mini side game, and yeah, I also liked the combat system. I thought like all those moves were fun. Although a negative I would say about them is I felt like you were kind of overloaded with a lot of combo moves, and I honestly got lost in how to trigger a lot of them, so I just turned on auto combat. But yeah, I guess another negative is that sometimes the world could feel a little bit too big, and it felt a little too long for a Sonic game. But yeah, I would say it's a step in the right direction, although a big negative for me is the 2D sections, because, well, as Erin said, you lose your momentum with the jump, but also on top of that, sometimes something would happen like it did in Colors, where if there would be a glitch in a moment and you would, is that you would switch from 2D controls to 3D controls. And sometimes at the most inopportune moments. But yeah, overall I think Frontiers is really good, and it's definitely a step in the right direction. I would also give it a 7 out of 10.
There you go. Okay, Euan, my buddy, what are your thoughts on this game?
Well, I haven't really been able to play as much because of work, but I was able to get to play at least over 3 hours yesterday's. So I'm still basically on the first island and not fought the first Titan yet. But you know, obviously tomorrow I should have enough time to do that. But
Haven't
it
you
does
experienced
I
the
mean-
horror of the third island yet? Lucky you.
Oh well, I don't know. Maybe I might enjoy it more and be like, "What is your problem, Roger? This is great." But anyways,
Fair enough. That's true.
but I'm just saying, like, it could be great. You never know, but in my opinion. But anyways, like, it was nice to finally be able to play the, you know, game without the annoying invisible time limit, because I was able to play it on the over EGX, and I was able to get like 15 minutes out of it. But I just wish they had like an actual timer on it being shown, as opposed to just leaving me confused. Like, when will this demo finish? Because there's been times when I was like, got all the tokens to free Amy, and then the demo just ends, and I'm like, because it's like all that effort just to get it, and then I just missed the cutscene. But so yeah, it's nice to be able to, you know, just go through at my own pace and just relax, which is good.
It's a very relaxing game.
yeah.
That's true.
I mean, didn't have as much trouble with that rearmed robot like I had last time, because when I was playing it last time, I was getting very agitated because I just couldn't beat it, because it just, like, because with the last arm, it just kept on flinging me further away than towards the actual, you know, weak spot. But when I was playing it second time round, I didn't have as much trouble, so I'm not sure whether or not the demo I was playing was just an early version of the game before they tweaked it, or
you
whether or
learned
not I
your
actually
lesson and you got better. Who knows?
Probably.
Yes, hopefully. But anyway, I have to keep it short. So, final general opinion. My wife Sylvia, our resident not Sonic player. What's your general
Yeah,
thoughts
that's
on the
what
game?
I was about to say. As a non-Sonic game player, I quite enjoyed so far what I've played of this game. I got a bit further than Euan. I almost finished the first island, except I still have to defeat the first Titan. However, I've watched Roger play the whole game, so I know the story. I don't have any spoilers for myself to be worried about. But anyway, I quite enjoy it. It's like a bit of a change of pace how Sonic games are, from what I've seen. It's not like non-stop running like the Cyberspace levels. It's like the Cyberspace levels are a bit, a change of pace, like something else for a bit. And then you go back to reality and do the collecting and all that. Very Breath of the Wild-ish, which I'm fine with. I enjoyed Breath of the Wild, so I would rate this game, I think it's 7 too. I would give it a higher rating, but some of the controls I've heard Roger grumble about, I've experienced it myself, aren't the best. They should tweak some of those. Like with climbing up walls, I think that was one of the worst ones. When you push up, you go left sometimes, or you push right and you go down instead. And like, why is it doing that? I'm not enjoying that. But anyway, I think it's, even for non-Sonic fans, it's a fun game.
Well, there you go. That's a good impression for some non-Sonic fans. Anyway, Rhino asked if we could beat the game. I beat the game, thanks to my wife a lot.
I beat the game in hard mode. The entire game I played in hard mode.
It's a hardcore gamer.
I actually am. Now, I'm gonna say something that might surprise a lot of people. This is my new favorite Sonic game. I am a giant fan of beat-em-up RPG, action RPG gameplay. My favorite game of all time is Kingdom Hearts 2, which should tell you a lot. I loved Kingdom Hearts 2, Monster Hunter. This game fits right in with the kind of stuff I love.
Well, if you love fights, then this game is definitely very good. It has incredible fights.
Yeah, I really love the fights. I like the combat. I know it gets complicated, but I didn't turn on auto combat because I'm actually used to very complicated combat, like mechanics and pushing specific buttons, because that is Monster Hunter. So it kept yelling at me to turn on and like to get auto combo, and I'm like, but I don't want to use it. So I bought it and I turned it off in the options. And I'm like, let me think during a Sonic game for a change.
Exactly. I do want to point out though, A neat feature about this game is like its insistence that like you cannot soft lock yourself. So if there is any part of the game, pretty much at all, that you don't like, you can replace it with just fishing, which is
fishing solves everything.
I kind
Well,
of
like-
Yeah, for once, Big the Cat's fishing is actually useful.
The only thing that you have to do is the main story actions, like the one last puzzle of the first island, which was a pain to solve with those lasers, with those pillars that you turn and such.
Yes.
That was a pain to figure out how to do that one. So things like those you have to do to progress, though. But that makes sense.
I guess like I'm so used to solving mirror and laser puzzles that I didn't really consider that challenging, but I guess some people struggle with stuff like that.
Yeah,
I have a huge brain with many wrinkles, so the puzzles didn't bother me. The pinball game was kind of hard, I will admit.
Oh, that definitely
Well,
took
the-
me a couple tries too.
Yeah, the pinball game is essentially a game of chance. So, with very little control.
I pretty much learned don't hit both bumpers at the same time. Always do one at a time, or else you have the risk of knocking the ball down the chute.
Good advice, yeah. Anyway, what's your guys' thoughts on the fact that Big the Cat has all of Eggman's sensitive memo tapes?
Yeah.
Did Eggman give them
I
to
did
him, or
all
did Big
that
steal
one.
them? What's happening there?
That's very suspicious, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so gonna be a
I'm
joke on my
starting to
parody.
think Erin's theory of Big being a god is.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, that
true.
makes sense. That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think Big appears
Yeah.
everywhere in the Sonic Adventure 2 battle? Why do you think he's supposedly drowned and yet he came back? Explain that, Sonic Team.
And he appears in secret rings in the background if you stand in
Yeah.
one place long enough.
Even worse than him having all of Eggman's memos is he also has just an infinite number of Cocos.
What's he doing with those Cocos? Keeping the hostage?
Yeah. He's willing to sell you some Cocos.
Oh, is that like slave trading or something like that?
Okay, so first there's child labor, now there's slave trade.
The plot thickens.
Yeah.
the plot, in all seriousness, the plot is very thick.
Yeah.
Oh no.
If you think about
Yeah,
it too much, yeah, definitely.
Roger. Roger, for your parody, you should have like Big, like dressed as the Godfather.
I have an offer you cannot refuse.
Oh no.
So I hear you're in the market for some Cocos.
Oh no.
Nice.
Hold on, if you do like a wordplay, it's like for some cocos and you hold up like a can of cocoa powder.
Ooh,
like
and chocolate
wordplay.
milk, nice.
Mm.
like wordplay.
That's what the cat uses them for, to turn them into cocoa milk.
Man, my big mouth.
because Froggy loves some good cocoa.
Oh no. I'm sorry
Also-
I said anything.
Cool.
Also, a fun fact about Froggy: you can actually see him as a fishing thingy on the rod of Big the Cat.
As a
Yeah, the
bait.
lure.
The lure, yeah. Which is
Oh.
like funny to see, like he's being used as a lure.
I was wondering where actual Froggy was. I was like, "Where's Froggy? You
Oh, he's a
turn him
lure.
into a lure."
Lure, yeah.
I was half expecting Froggy to be the last thing you fish up.
That'd have been a great
Oh,
finale, yeah. That's a
Yeah.
good
What
point.
if Big was like, "Can you help me find Froggy by fishing?"
there you are, Froggy.
Oh,
And then you could
speaking
unlock
of,
something at the end, like if you complete fishing, like other than the egg memos, you know. By the way, sorry,
Yeah.
what were you gonna say?
I just remembered because like gathering all the Cocos was a chore. I actually did buy a whole bunch of them from Big, and I gotta tell you, like getting your speed from like 20 to 99 in one setting
Ooh,
takes a while.
yeah.
That's so
You
weird.
have
With
to
the
do
other,
it
it does it
one-
instantly, and with him, it doesn't. That's
Yeah, with the Elder, it takes so long to level up, and the
Elder-
Hermit just is like, "Oh, give me all of your seeds all at once."
Yeah,
Yeah.
The Elder sucks.
Yeah,
But yeah, I had at some point I helped out Roger with getting the rings and the speed for the Elder, so just so he could take a break from the game and all that. So that's how we were able to get to at least 80. Each.
Yeah, I mean, in
Yeah.
the end,
I
yeah.
did not go that far.
Also the same with fishing. At some point I just took over for a little bit so that Roger could get a toilet break.
What frustrated me endlessly is the reason why I wanted my ring level very high is to make the supersonic fights easy, except I never knew when they were coming, so we never had an opportunity to actually get my rings that far. So every single time a supersonic fight starts, I barely had any rings. It's like, no, darn it! Still need to get my rings up!
I know that feeling.
I
At least for the
actively
first
went out my
class.
way to like make sure my rings were maxed out before I fought a Titan because of that.
I didn't realize you had to max out your rings. I thought you were just given a standard set of rings.
Nope.
But that was just me being stupid, but whatever.
I ended up fighting the third Titan with only 100 rings and somehow had most of them by the end of the fight.
Wow, impressive.
Nice.
Wow, you're good.
Some of the
No,
Titans
it-
actually give you rings during the fight. That helps.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like it's not so much I'm good; it's that they give you a whole bunch of rings during the fight.
Yeah, but not all
Especially the
Titans
sec-
do that. The first and the
Yeah,
last one
the
don't.
The second one does, yeah.
The second and the third ones do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second one does. I remember that.
I
No,
think
they
the
know that you
third
mentioned it.
Titan was the hardest for me personally. Even harder than the last one because of how
Oh.
fast it was, and I didn't figure out that you had to parry the shield and then ride on
Yeah.
it. So it took a bit for me to figure that out.
Yeah, that was definitely the part that troubled me about the third Titan is like figuring out how to beat it. But like once you figure it out, he's pretty easy. And I guess the same is true for the second one. But like the second one definitely gave me the most trouble.
This stream is very spoilery. Notice the big giant spoilers thing in the top or the bottom left corner.
Yeah.
Someone was
But,
mentioning it in the chat, yeah.
Speaking of, in gameplay and in story, I know you heard about the Breath of the Wild comparison, which yes, very true.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you're gonna say.
But also Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, Shadow of
You,
the Colossus.
you also have to figure out how the bosses work before you actually beat them, and some of them, when you do, they do become easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is more like Sonic meets Breath of the Wild and Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just that with a Sonic skin slapped on top of it. I think it very much still feels like a Sonic game.
Well, don't forget the slight little bit of Devil May Cry thrown in there too.
Yes, I actually love the crap. Like, can we talk about the music? Oh my god.
Oh my god.
It's better than
Yes.
usual. Like, I know Sonic music has, like, all the libraries great, but this game, not a single miss for me. All of them are fantastic.
Yeah.
All of
Oh
them,
my
even
god.
the atmospheric music.
The what music?
Atmospheric.
The
Music.
atmospheric.
Yeah,
Atmosphere.
I like the atmospheric music.
I mean, the fight
Really
music in the
cool.
first island was kind of meh. It's not until the second island that the fight music finally becomes decent. That's what I thought.
Fair enough. I like the lo-fi tracks to Relax and Fish 2 and Biggs 1.
Well, fair enough. That fits there.
My roommate made the exact same joke. Lo-fi music to fish too.
I don't get the
Yeah,
joke. I'm stupid.
Oh,
I think it was
there
really
was
cool that Nathan Sharp, or Nate Wants to Battle, as some people know him, actually did a song for this game and not just a cover. Like he did an actual song.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sega really letting in the fan people. One day I get to do something stupid in a Sonic game. Who knows? I wouldn't count on it, but
Well, I mean, you're getting there with your Sonic Robo Blast levels.
I doubt Sega cares about those. But yeah, never mind me. Anyway, yeah, what more specific thing do we want to talk about?
Yeah, because it seems to be going all over the place at the moment. There's only this music, then we start talking about Titans and blah blah blah.
Yeah, so it's
Is
Because
there like?
we're here, Erin and
I know, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, let's try to keep it a bit orderly, like,
okay.
yeah.
Sure.
But I'm not sure how, because Roger, did you have a plan?
Do I look like a man with a plan?
That's true.
Yeah, obviously not.
Yeah.
Because you
I
did
guess
all
we
this
could
last
just-
minute.
I guess we could just like start with different parts of the gameplay and then go to story, I guess.
Yeah.
Like what does everybody think just about cyberspace in general?
It's fun. It's I'm not a fan of those kind of games like the usual Sonic games, but I've quite enjoyed these. There's like goals to go for, and once you finish the goal, you've done it, and then hooray! like the red rings, and yeah, I like it. I enjoy them.
Much similar story with me. I mean, like, it is obviously challenging to get the S rank, especially if it's on hard. Because, like, obviously, one example being, like, cyberspace level 1-2, you know, in the Sky Sanctuary area. Because, I mean, that one's very, sort of, like, strict. Took multiple attempts.
Same.
But managed it in the end.
Same here.
Whilst Roger's going like...
Well, you're not
I
far
got a
off.
trick for everybody listening, though. Take the lower path for the first third of the game, or of the level. Like, that will save you time. Because when you jump on the bounce pads, that actually eats up your time because Sonic goes into an animation. So yeah, I also try to avoid those. Try to avoid the bounce pads if you can. I mean, sometimes you do have to use them, but if you can boost or if you can jump to get on rails and stuff, then do it.
Right.
It'll save you time.
Good advice.
And yeah, I love the concept of cyberspace levels. Sonic is always kind of like an arcade game, so the idea of just having short, bite-sized levels to challenge you and to get a bunch of missions, like it's a Tony Hawk stage. I absolutely love that concept. I just really wish it was more open and not as linear, because the linear boost style really that works the best if it's very set-piece story-driven. Well, with arcade, I feel like you should have more freedom, because that's the whole point, kind of, to master these levels. And now I feel like there's not much to master, or like I feel like if I'm trying to play the cyberspace levels, I'm kind of punished. Like, you're really supposed to rely on automation, like almost just use the auto target all the time to just teleport through the level, and that kind of ruins the fun for me, because it's all about Sonic not really controlling very fine. But yeah, the concept itself I love.
The controls are a bit less to be... there's more to be desired when it comes to controls in cyberspace levels. Your boost is kind of set to a lower set amount. Kind of makes it, stilted. No momentum. But I had a lot of fun perfecting these. Sometimes I just go out of my way to get all 4, just to, like, get the Chaos Emerald Vault keys faster.
Sure, it's definitely fun. And I hear a lot of people love the fact you can do multiple missions in one run and try to get as many as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Not always doable, because sometimes the red coins are deliberately on a slower path, but it's definitely
It's also always fun to be like, once you finish the level, you're like, oh, hold on, I reached the time. Yay! Good on me, or enough rings, like those kind of surprises while you were actually paying attention to the red coins and such.
Oh yeah, it's great when you like accidentally get all 4 missions on your first try.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you can relate, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay,
That
good.
happened to me. It's like,
I usually, like, at most I went twice, because the first one is like, okay, I gotta get the red coins and get a feel for the level, and then once I did that, then I'm like, okay, I can just blaze through this level right now and get the best time, or and also get the number of regular rings. And so, yeah, I mean, I did enjoy the cyberspace levels. I thought they were actually pretty fun.
Of course, it's a bit
So
of a
we've-
shame there isn't much themes to the levels. There's only 4. And even worse, 2 of them is like a rune and grass, even though the main game is already constantly grass and runes. I feel like they should have deliberately picked some more variety for that.
I really wish there was more variety in those, because I was like, seriously Green Hill again, or seriously Chemical Plant again, and I was like, ugh.
Sky Sanctuary or this generic city.
I don't matter. I don't mind Sky Sanctuary, because, you know, the last time we saw it was not Frontiers, gosh, my brain. Generations.
yeah. But
Not
But
entirely
yeah,
the
I
mobile
do-
phone games and
Oh yeah, the
bunch of
mobile
others.
games. Oops.
yeah, I mean, a part of me does kind of think about, obviously it's supposed to be based on sort of like the person's memory, and I'm assuming like Green Hill is Sonic, Chemical Plant is Tails, Sky Sanctuary is Knuckles, and
That's what I thought.
maybe
but
Eggman, like the city.
there's a
'Cause
side
I would
story
say
that
Amy,
explains
but-
that Sonic's memories, because Sonic was like, "Oh, that's why I was able to escape cyberspace. It's because I've been through them before."
Maybe, yeah.
So we've mentioned controls a few times. Is it okay if I talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
So they've obviously changed the control scheme for this game from previous games, because, you know, there's so much more combat, and it's interesting. Like, it took some getting used to, but I think they've actually hit like a perfect mix of unleashed colors and generations.
Yeah.
Because like a problem I have with Unleashed was the putting the air boost on the same button as the homing attack instead of putting the homing attack on the same button as the jump button. But then Colors made it worse by introducing a double jump. So you could try to double jump but accidentally homing attack. In this game, you can't do that. You can double jump or homing attack because they're separate buttons now.
Right.
I think that's brilliant. So there's finally like a good modern Sonic control scheme. I thought Generations was as good as it was going to get, but no, they've made it better.
Yeah, I think right trigger for boost is perfect, honestly.
Although I do miss a drift button. I really wish you could drift
I really
again.
wish there was a drift.
Okay,
Although
I guess there's
I
still
think-
room for improvement.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think the analog stick controls for Sonic are extremely tight. I actually did a test in the game that when I was on the third island, I challenged myself to stop right in front of Tails mid-boost, and I did it, and I was like a foot away from him. It was really, I was like, that is, I really did not find that hard of a time running around as boosting Sonic and like using the analog stick. I thought the controls were actually really good.
Oh yeah, moving around in this game feels fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Very
Except for
fun.
the times where you hit a slight like bump in the road and get launched into oblivivion.
Yes,
That a lot.
Or flying
That-
that bird in that third island was also a nightmare to control. Oof,
Yeah,
that sounds
it's
pretty
it's
nightmare.
especially funny because like your instinct is to like try and turn in midair, but Sonic just does tricks the entire way to his death.
Yes.
If you want to prevent that from happening, boost back to where you want to go in midair.
Oh, I would
Yeah.
usually just stomp, but yeah,
Or stomping. Like if you're going off a cliff, you're gonna want to boost back to solid ground and not stomp. But yeah.
If you're lucky.
And speaking of boosting, one thing that definitely took some getting used to, especially in the cyberspace levels, is you can't boost through enemies anymore.
Oh
so-
yeah.
Yeah, do you guys see that as a good or a bad thing?
Both.
I think it's good for the overworld. I think they should have kept it for cyberspace though, because of muscle memory.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much.
Agreed? Yeah.
I
Yep.
agree.
I also have to say I like how the ring dash and stomp are on two different buttons because Sonic has a history of having the stomp and the ring dash on the same button. And when you
Yeah.
want to ring dash, sometimes you'll stomp and you'll fall to your death.
Thanks,
Whereas in
Sonic,
this
that's
one
it.
you have to press the left analog stick and then Sonic will do the ring dash and then the stomp is I think it's the O button on the PS5 controller.
Does make it more useful, but now there's much more buttons to remember, which kind of reminds me, Sylvia, what is your thoughts on that? Because you're not a Sonic player. Is it hard for you to keep track of all the buttons you need to press?
Well, like I mentioned to you in person, I'm struggling, with all those combos and such. It's like Street Fighter. You have to use a certain buttons to make a certain move. I'm struggling with that. I've always been bad with that kind of game, so...
But I'm specifically talking about cyberspace, not the battles yet.
Cyberspace. Oh, wait, sorry. I think it goes all right so far. I mean, like I said, I haven't played that much of it, but so far I can keep up with which buttons to use and whatnot, except for the what was it again?
The ring dash?
Yeah, the ring dash. I still have to get a hang of it. But besides that, the cyberspaces buttons go all right for me.
Alrighty, because we Sonic nerds, of course, immediately understand this stuff because as we memorize in our heads.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
newbies,
But
it's-
like outside the cyberspaces, I'm struggling with getting different combos done. Like to memorize them. Like suddenly you have to do this move to get this done. Like wait. Which button was that again? Ah.
Yeah, sometimes I struggle to remember some of the buttons. After I got used to it, though, I kind of got in the groove a bit. And by the way, anyone notice that light speed dash is on the left stick, and those are both the same like letters? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, all
I
right.
noticed that.
Meta thing.
How about that?
Nice. I guess that's how you can remember it, you know?
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
don't know. Maybe I don't know what they're called, but I guess that's a way to remember certain things.
But yeah, enough about cyberspace. Shall we be talking about more of the overworld now, or yeah, we already kind of talked a bit about that.
Okay, so the combat in the overworld is like fantastic. It feels like I said earlier, a little Devil May Cry-ish, but more like Devil May Cry light because there's only like a handful of different skills you can unlock, and they're all really fun to pull off. But at the end of the game, I had like over 200 skill points and nothing to spend them on.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, I had a really hard time activating Wild Rush. It just would not do it.
Yeah.
And whenever I did do it, I would keep pressing the button, but Sonic would take a second for the animation to start, so I didn't know it would start, so I would be interrupting it. It was
Oh.
really... And honestly, my prediction was that that was going to be the most broken move because of the camera, and I was right, so...
Yeah, that move was a pain to try and get working. I still haven't figured out how to do it. Even though it's just like, push the L button or the R button along
it's
with
like,
X. But it's just
yeah,
like, yes,
I
but...
think it has to be in the air as well. It's really stupid, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, in the end, there's only a couple moves you really need, like the bouncing attacks back and the like machine gun kicking. But a lot of the moves are kind of like interchangeable, like especially the ones you have to do in the air. It's just to do a lot of damage, more for stylistic stuff.
I really like the what was it? Because I actually liked being able to pick between which ones are more effective against certain enemies. Like Sonic Boom, the hyper kicking move is going to be better against the ball enemies, but Stomp is what you're going to want to use when they summon spikes.
That's right. Yeah. But yeah, I think my biggest problem with the overworld is I really think they should have focused more on having Sonic himself be more like skilled in how he moves around the landscape and make the landscape more interesting. Because I really hate the fact they put these boost level area chunks in the overworld itself. In the first map, I love it because they're just little side bits. But man, in the second and especially the third islands, it's a nightmare. Like it's constantly interrupting your exploration. You just get jerked away from walking around and just now you're in this 2D area.
Yeah.
Like it's
2D
such a pain
area,
to just
so,
walk
yeah.
around. Like I want to explore. Stop interrupting me all the time.
Yeah, it was pretty irritating, and not also speak of the camera being ripped away from you whenever there's a Guardian cutscene. Look at it, even though you already beat it. Look at it again.
Yep. So yeah, I really hope if they're gonna continue this open zone stuff, that they really like focus more on making the open zone itself feel like Sonic rather than rely on adding boost areas into it as a crutch, because it really feels like they're I almost get the feeling that they just made the game based on combat alone, and when the test players kind of complained it didn't play like a Sonic, just kind of shoved in these boost level areas as like a last resort. 'Cause it kind of feels like tacked on a bit.
I think it already feels like Sonic just running around in the overworld.
Fair enough, yeah. So you don't think they needed any of those platform bits at all?
Well, I think that they should have been less common and more optional, because you can get tokens by defeating enemies anyway, or doing a side loop on the ground, or just by
fishing.
purely looking around, or fishing, yes. But like yeah, the third island's really bad with the 2D sections, and the 2D sections are probably my least favorite part of Cyberspace and the overworld.
Yeah, because but
It's
yeah,
it's funny. I've heard people complaining that like this game, the open world, is so empty. I got the opposite impression. I think there's too much stuff.
Yeah.
There's way too much stuff.
I think it's in quite well balanced. Well, at least the first island. Though I think with the third island, for what I've seen with Roger, there is too much going on at that one, for sure, especially with the 2D bits and such. But
that's
the
why I
first
kind of
area-
enjoyed the
yeah.
fourth island weirdly enough, because it only had those 6 towers, but you could actually just explore the landscape, and it was kind of fun, even though there was no point to it at all. But it was kind of satisfying to just run through a landscape without anything bothering you all the time. It's like, I just finally have my moment of just Sonic running through forests. No weird boss fights, no 2D platforming. Because there is something satisfying about it, definitely, yeah.
I wonder if a few mods could you could just put on exploration mode or something like that, and they take out all of the speed boost pads and the enemies, and you could just run around. That'd be awesome.
That'd be a nice mod, yeah.
But yeah, I agree with the captain. Yeah, I didn't first with Sala now. Yeah, I
Hey,
didn't feel empty with me either. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. How many people use the drop dash? Because I didn't use it at all.
Oh, I kept forgetting
I used
about
it I use it quite often because it's great for going for climbing a hill that you're having trouble getting up.
Oh, I just kept jumping and boosting into something, and when Sonic would slip down, I just Skyrim'd the crap out of everything if I couldn't get up it.
I love using the drop dash. I just kept forgetting I had it. Every single time I remembered, like, oh yeah, that's awesome, and then I forget about it again.
Oh yeah, like if you've got like a long stretch of downhill and you remember you have the drop dash, oh, that's so satisfying.
I don't
Yeah.
even remember to use
One of
it.
the times I saw Roger use that move was when he fell off a cliff and it just wanted to die faster.
Oh, the random footage playing just happens to show the drop dash in action. Great timing.
Nice.
Or later. Anyway, yeah, I love the drop dash, so I hope they keep using it.
So should we talk about the hacking sections in the game?
Yes, I thought they were just a one-time only minigame, but apparently they're a huge part of the gameplay eventually.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You have no idea.
A big
Oh.
surprise.
So
Aaron does though.
So I made a joke. That what if the secret boss is Yuji Naka's head as a PNG and it's a bullet hell? Well, I was half right.
Bullet hell, yeah. And it was a hell for Roger.
as Rhino pointed out in the comments a couple of times now, yeah, it's just Ikariga.
Pretty
Where
much,
you
yeah.
you swap between a light stance and a dark stance. To,
We have a final boss that's the moon, and they never make a reference to the Eclipse cannon. Because I'm still gonna make the joke in the parody where Eggman just fires the space colony arc laser at it.
There we go.
Also,
Well,
they still didn't show the moon being broken, even though we get a great close-up of it in this game.
I thought
Missed
it was
opportunity.
just like a meteor thing. Is it the moon?
I have no idea what it is. It looks like a moon.
Yeah,
Well,
they
the
don't really
enemy-
they really don't explain what the end is all that much. We know it can destroy a planet, apparently.
I thought it literally in its little
It's a
diatribe that it
concept
gives you
2.0.
when you're actually in it, it explains that it's literally like the void. So I think we just fought the concept of nothingness.
Yeah.
And
Which
he
I
keeps
guess
calling
is
himself
another Sonic
infinite.
God.
It's like, you fought
th-
other people, they were finite, but I am infinite. Actually, I already fought infinite, idiot. I won every single
Yeah.
time.
I am so angry. I made a tweet saying if Infinite's not in Sonic Frontiers, I'm going to 100% Sonic Lost World. By the way, I hate Sonic Lost World.
Uh-oh, well, you have to 100% it now.
Here's the thing. There's a fight called the Phantom Rush. There's pixely red stuff all over the game. There's stupid, cyberspace is pretty much like what the illusion crap in Sonic Forces. And then they literally there was a guy that did Infinite's theme song that did a song for this game, and it sounded the same. And then the final boss was like, I am Infinite, and just to slap me in the face one final time. No
Yeah.
Infinite's not in this game. Despite all the evidence, I'm mad.
Hey, well, he did call himself infinite, so technically infinite is in the game, so you don't have to play Lost World now.
Loophole.
Loophole.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't count. I want to stay true to my word because I was actually going to donate any donations I got to a good cause.
Oh, fair enough.
Well, good luck with Lost World. Glad I'm not you.
But yeah, as dang it, what was it? Damn it, I forgot what I was gonna say.
You say something.
The Eclipse Cannon. The Eclipse Cannon. The Eclipse Cannon was actually brought up. Tails mentioned it and said that the Ancients' cannons were similar in power. So I guess it's possible that the Eclipse Cannon at full strength could have killed the End.
Mm.
So yeah, I guess that is something that would have been worth trying.
Well, then again, I guess the Sage kept saying she already runs simulations, so I assume one of her simulations including the Eclipse Cannon.
Fair enough. That would absolutely be something she would have considered.
Then again, like I'm not suggesting that should have brought in the game. Could probably broke the pace, but for my parody, it's a great alternative way to end the anime.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I think the final boss of Frontiers is kind of anticlimactic,
Yep.
especially if you just play normal mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what that is. What's the difference in normal mode?
You don't do the pinball, or you don't do the laser firing thing to the moon. It's just you just do the there's that crescent
The Titan
shape.
fight.
Yeah, you just do the Titan fight, and then when you're out in space, Sonic just dashes forward, and that's when you have to, hit the X button at the right time to do the finishing move. So, yeah.
Oh, that really is underwhelming. Glad I played it on hard mode.
I think it's underwhelming in hard mode as well. I would have liked it if we got another supersonic boss fight after that. I feel like
Same.
then I would feel like it was warranted.
I think the biggest problem is the pacing of the levels. I mean, first you have the fourth island, which is a great climactic one. Like the music is tenseful, Sonic is almost dying. You have those 6 climactic towers. So you think after that you get the final boss, but then all of a sudden you get a fifth world that is super easy and doesn't really have any kind of tension to it. So then you're completely relaxed again, and then all of a sudden you get the final boss. It feels like there's a very weird pacing to it.
Indeed.
Not to mention, like, that thing where Tails and Knuckles and Amy kind of like go in a triangle around Sonic and merge with him. I thought to have that be a little bit more earned, because we can't have an end of the world scenario where we play the other 3 characters, because Sonic can be the only playable character in Sonic Team's eyes. So what we could have gotten is a bit of a longer cyberspace level, maybe about 3 minutes long, just to kind of make up for it. And then the entire time they could be voicing like encouragements to Sonic, and that makes him come back.
Sure.
I think that's probably where some of the desolate feeling kind of comes in, is that Sonic's friends are nearby, but it takes the opposite approach of Sonic Boom, where the characters in Sonic Boom talk way too much all the time. In this one, they don't talk at all unless prompted.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think maybe that's part of the issue, where it's like in the hub worlds or the open world itself, is that there is a lot going on with all the level towers and the launch pads and the springboards and stuff, but it still feels empty because we don't see a lot of life forms anywhere, not even our friends, or it's like if you come across a new enemy, you just have text to tell you how to beat it. It's not like your friends are giving you hints, or they have lines where they can tell you what to do when prompted, kind of like Navi or Midna in the Legend of Zelda series.
So you're saying that someone should mod the game so you hear Sonic Boom's voice constantly going, "Oh, bounce pad, oh, bounce pad, oh, bounce pad," every single time you touch
Heck
something.
no, I'm not saying that at all.
Then Island 3 is gonna be a real nightmare.
I'm just saying, why don't you turn Sonic's friends into companion characters where it's like they're not constantly by his side, but maybe you have something like Tikal where maybe they're like a spirit orb around him.
Yeah, I agree
and,
with you.
Yeah, they give him hints, then it's like at least it wouldn't feel so empty.
I think the emptiness is the point. Like that's what they wanted to convey, is how desolate it is. I
get it. It's just that when Sonic finds his
because-
friends, it's like you think he wouldn't feel so alone anymore.
I mean, I would feel very alone when I went out of my way to do the side stories for them. I did all of the side stories, and I did enjoy much of the dialogue and the mini games that we had. But with the tutorial, I kind of like that it was text based, because I can't tell you how annoying the tutorials have gotten for Sonic. Omo Chow is annoying. Okay, Chip's annoying. I'm so glad we didn't get that. In this.
Ooh, don't say that to the captain now.
Too late.
Look, Sonic Unleashed, now I have to say, used to be my favorite. I would say it's tied for my favorite Unleashed, but even I could admit Chip is annoying.
Yeah.
Alright, fair enough. Anyway, does anyone notice how everyone hates talking to Sonic anyway? Because you have a conversation with Amy or Tails, and then you get a mission, talk to Tails again, when I was on the other side of the planet, of the island. God darn it! That's still gonna be a joke on my parody.
Sonic, I'm trying to get away from you. Leave me alone.
I need some time alone. Come on.
Yeah, they talk about how they're going to. Okay, you know that old saying, you don't know a good thing until it's gone? I guess it's you don't know a bad thing until it's back.
Well, that explains more than leaving at the end.
Euan, you haven't said much. Do you have anything to say?
Putting him on the spot again.
Yeah.
I'm such
Well,
a
to be honest, I
jerk.
was eating dinner, so
Sorry,
Oh.
buddy. And keep eating.
nah, I just finished though.
So do we want to talk about a story a bit now?
Yeah, let's talk about story. I mean,
Yes.
we have a big
That's-
Tales expert here. But yeah, so the story's mostly really character therapy, so I guess we just talk about the Tails, Knuckles, and Amy. Because that's really not most of the story. Them having
think
therapy
Sage was a
sessions with
huge
Sonic.
part of it. I think
Like-
Sage was a huge part of it.
I agree. I think Sage is actually the surprise star of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was genuinely sad when it looked like she was dead at the end of the game, and then like Eggman gets her back and he says like that's my girl, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yay!
Eggman at the
Sage
end.
at the end, and Eggman, for that matter, got the biggest reaction out of me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then to top it off, like they show a scene where Eggman is like at the edge, you know, the meteors are falling and everything,
Oh yeah.
and it looks like he's grieving for her.
Mm-hmm.
And then to follow it up, they do a sad song where it's basically Sage saying, "Goodbye, Dad, I love you," and I'm just an emotional wreck.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I didn't think I'd care this much.
One thing that did bother me is that Sonic has no reaction to Sage's death at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
That was kind of awkward.
Yeah.
But that's Sonic. Ba-da-bop.
Please
Exactly.
take care of father. What? I didn't hear you. I'm too busy flying back to my friends.
Hey, you know I can't promise stuff like that.
Do you know how many people I've watched die? All right, I'm bored.
Well,
What
on
if
top
I'm-
of that, doesn't Sonic kind of already take care of Eggman at this point? Because, okay, this is like, what, the third game he's teamed up with Sonic?
The third game. Where have you been, Liz?
Yeah, there's at least been 6.
He
Yeah,
teams up
whatever.
with
I don't
Sonic
care.
more than
But
he's
it's
against
like,
him.
still, it's like it's kind of hard to care about the rivalry between them, or it's like the antagonist-protagonist thing between them when they're always teaming up. And at this point, it's just like, okay, what's Eggman's goal at this point? Like, does he really want to get rid of Sonic, or does he just like to mess with him?
Especially
That's
since
why he
apparently
keeps around.
Styx is now canon, so I guess Sonic Boom is canon, in which they pretty much team up every single episode, so then it's even more of a joke.
What is it?
I
like
was shocked when they brought up Styx. I'm like, wait a minute, isn't she from the Boom universe? Like, what is she doing here?
Yeah.
And so,
I think
I mean-
Ian always wanted to bring Styx to the Legacy universe.
To be
So-
fair, she was in the Olympic Games, although that's not supposed to be canon, but I
Yeah.
guess it is now.
whatever.
Sorry guys for the interruption, but Roger just got a $10 donation from Shadow Tamer. Thank you, Shadow Tamer.
Thank you very much. That's awesome.
He gets to eat tonight.
We're good. We're good.
I can buy some
Yeah.
decent food with $10, sure.
Yeah.
I guess more about Amy, Tails, Knuckles. Any comments on the therapy sessions we have with them?
I actually do have something. I noticed that like they all have this like mini arc where they're helping some Cocos move on,
Mhm.
and I noticed that all of them, all of the Cocos that they're helping mirror them. Like Amy's Coco has lost its love. Knuckles is dealing with like
Their duty as
mil-
soldiers, yeah.
duty as soldiers, and Tails is about a mechanic who's worried that like their hero is late. and
Tails
they won't
Coco
be able
even
to
has
help.
the little helmet he has on Sonic Boom, I
Yeah.
think.
That was
Yeah.
adorable.
It's
I
like the
love
chows. It's like the chows.
Yeah,
Mhm.
except they're dead people apparently.
Yeah,
I can see dead people.
I was just about to make that joke.
Chows are also close to death when I take care of them.
Oh, and speaking of chows, there's a bit of a retcon in this game actually, in that like the ancients all look like Chaos Zero,
Hmm.
and like according to Eggman, they're related to Chaos, but like Chaos himself was a mutated Chow, so
I have a bit of a game theory about that. I don't think it's a retcon. I think the mutation that the Chow that Chaos used to be went under ended up making it look like an ancient because the Chaos Emeralds came from the ancient's planet.
Yeah, maybe the Chow are just evolved version of the aliens.
It could be that.
Maybe
as
some
well.
of their DNA survived in the form of Chow or something, I don't know.
which would make Coco's more literally Chow replacements.
They literally
Yeah.
are.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't know much about evolution, but I guess that vaguely makes sense in a weird Sonic fantasy kind of way.
Well, in one of the egg memos, Eggman says that it's the same DNA, but it's mutated beyond recognition because of some form of radiation.
Sure.
Okay.
What kind of radiation, though?
He
Like,
doesn't specify.
Chaos radiation.
Just bullshit cyber magic radiation. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Here it is. They're relatives of Chaos, the god of destruction. After countless years, their DNA corroded to the point that they were completely transformed into a new species. Some kind of radiation affected them for eons, making them unrecognizable, except to a genius like me.
There you go.
maybe it sounds a bit odd, but they were like also mentioned in the game that the aliens were struggling to live on Earth. So maybe the radiation is actually the life on Earth, like the energy of Earth that somehow had effect on them, which caused the, what was the word, corrosion of the chows.
Huh. Because that's actually kind of interesting, because we discover through a flashback that the Master Emerald apparently has been here before the Ancients arrived, and the Master Emerald controls chaos energy. So I wonder if that was it. Like, something about the energy of the planet is connected to the Master Emerald.
Yeah, that's the radiation. Might be, yeah.
Possible.
But honestly, the lore is... I'm very fascinated by it. I love that we have good world building back.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
At the
When-
same
when
time,
I
I'm confused though, because it's like, okay, if the Chaos Emeralds are actually from outer space, then why is the Master Emerald native to Earth, and why is it connected to the Chaos Emeralds?
We don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was kind
Hopefully
of
that is
confused
something
why the
that
Chaos
is
Emeralds
being
had to be from space anyway, because they already constantly jump to other dimensions in the space. Weren't they in space in Sonic Colors?
It could be that they are from that planet, but maybe they weren't created on that planet. I
Yeah,
don't
they're
know.
chaos. I always assumed that the Chaos Emeralds go all over the universe, wherever they want,
Right.
when they're already constantly hopping all over the place. So I'd
And
never
I like
really
that-
thought of them being contained into one location.
Right,
Otherwise, we
right.
didn't have to search for them every single game again.
But
Yeah, just-
Go on.
okay, yeah. So when I found out about these egg memos you could get from Big the Cat, they became my top priority. Because
Yeah.
there's 24 of them, and they just have so much interesting lore in them, like just
Right.
world building, and also they like canonize a few things, like the Babylonians, because those have been canonically exclusive to Sonic writers for so long. I've actually been looking for like any time that the Babylon rogues have ever been brought up, and like it's always like non-canon references, but this is the first time they've officially been referenced in a canon video game.
Yeah, thanks to Ian Flynn, pretty much every Sonic game is canon now. The only thing I
Yep.
didn't saw references to were the Advance and the Game Gear games as usual, but
Also, Amy's tarot card readings are canon. I mean, I know they were canon for CD, but we finally got a modern confirmation. Also, Eggman mentions Maria. Now we know
He
how
does.
Eggman feels about Maria, which is extremely interesting. I love the expansions they've made on Eggman.
they were
that
definitely
was-
the best parts, yeah.
Egg Memo 17.
Yeah.
I never really knew my cousin Maria. Everyone spoke of her like she was very special. All that love for someone who was gone when I was right there.
And not just Maria, it even shows some implications about his daily life when he was young, like what his parents were like, or at least kind of gives like a
Yeah.
little bit of a insight of that. So that's awesome. We need to
And
get
it's-
more
it's-
Eggman memos. Someone get ourselves in touch with Big the Cat. I'm sure he stole more embarrassing notes from Eggman somewhere.
And it's interesting to see, as these memos go on, Eggman slowly opening up to the idea that Sage is not only alive, but she is his daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was such... I freaking love Sage now.
Wouldn't it have been hilarious? You know, in the first cutscene, we see Eggman, he's stuck in cyberspace, and he, like, says that comment that he says, like, all right, note to self, don't tell anyone that. Wouldn't it have been funny if that was one of the memos you could get?
Yeah,
Yeah, that would have been.
Big somehow hacked into Eggman's memos to get them.
I'm telling you. It's the theory's true.
Okay,
Eggman
quick.
likes those tapes in his suit, so Eggman, Big should have grabbed them through his suit. I can't imagine how that looks like. Sorry, Elise, you were talking.
No, it
No,
wasn't me.
I was trying to ask something. What do you guys think of this version of Eggman? Because it used to be like a lot of talking, a lot of joking between Sonic and Robotnik, Eggman the whole time. The never mind. The name calling and everything, but now he seems to be more cooler, more down to earth. What do you guys think of this version of Eggman?
I kind of dig it actually, because he kind of reminds me of Eggman and Sonic X, which it's like for Mike Pollock's performance, I actually really prefer that Eggman.
Yeah, right down to the daddy issues, or guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and also it's I remember when we talked in Innovation about how you could tell a Tones game for how big of a role Eggman plays in it. I think this is another good example as to why, because Eggman is barely in it. In fact, you don't even have a boss fight with him, and it takes on a more serious tone.
What? It was weird, because didn't one of the playtesters in the league say there was an Eggman boss fight? Where'd it go?
Guess they were lying. I mean, I
Maybe.
can't imagine where a boss fight would be, unless it's a cyberspace level or something.
The comic had a boss fight with Eggman, kind
Yeah,
of.
that's true.
I still think they kept some of the lightheartedness in there, because on the last island, like, Eggman still pokes at Sonic, saying that he wouldn't be fast enough to collect all the emeralds, and Sonic's like, hey!
I especially found that moment funny because, like, Sonic does take offense to Eggman saying that Sonic won't be fast enough, and immediately after that I went back to fishing.
I honestly thought we were going to be collecting Eggman's memory tokens on the 4th island, or the 5th island, technically, not Sage's.
Yeah.
Because I thought Sage was going to ask Sonic, hey, can you, like, Eggman can't get out of cyberspace, can you help me? But I guess because he retroactively saved all of his friends from cyberspace, Eggman was saved on accident.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that, like, how did he escape so suddenly? But that could be it, yeah.
There was also a weird thing where, like, it's something kind of funny. It was like, when Sage proposes the idea of forming an alliance with Sonic, Eggman is completely opposed to the idea, and she brings up, like, times that he's done it before. And Eggman says, yeah, but that was out of desperation, as if he's not currently in a desperate situation.
Indeed.
Yes,
Oh,
proud.
Eggman.
I mean, it was recently the rule of the planet for 6 months, so this must be painful to be all the way back.
I seriously thought there was going to be some sort of reference. Like, there are Forces references, but not towards Eggman.
Yeah.
Yeah, very weird. That's the problem with Forces. It's supposed to be like this big game, but it has absolutely no impact. I mean, you'd think that Sonic being locked in for 6 months in a death egg would have an impact on his memories in the cyberspace levels, but nope, he doesn't care. It was just torture for 6 months, no big deal. Who cares? Oh well, maybe better not to think too much about it, because Sonic Forces doesn't really deserve that kind of epic story anyway.
But they did kind of give Tails a nice, like, here's the thing. Like, my boy Tails, absolutely character assassination massacred these last few years.
Yes.
Thank goodness we got a freaking Tails. Okay, I'm gonna be honest about you guys. The day before Frontiers came out, on my drive home, I saw a shooting star. I'm not kidding. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna make a wish. And I made a wish that Sonic Frontiers would be good and Tails' character was redeemed. And Tails' character was redeemed.
Yay!
You did it!
Yay.
We have you to thank.
You saved the game!
That
Hooray!
was me all along.
Ian Flynn was gonna write him terribly, but then he suddenly got a memo from a flying star. Like, oh, this random girl made a wish. Like, okay, fine, I'll write it for you then. Just this once.
Even
well,
though
I
I've only got a
was
few
gonna
hours.
make a bad game.
Change it at the last minute.
Yes.
The voice acting, now, it took a while to get used to Roger's deeper Sonic, but I actually dig the hell out of it. It's really good.
Okay, so here's something I want to say about that. Is like, so obviously they want the Sonic characters to be older in this game. So like everyone's voice is a little bit deeper. Even like Tails to a very minor degree, Amy's, even Knuckles's. But like the problem with Sonic's voice is I always thought Roger's Sonic sounded too old.
Yeah.
So
Now Joel.
So now he's
second
puberty.
So like when like if you'd just told me, like, oh, all the Sonic characters are going to sound older now, I'm like, finally, Roger's Sonic voice sounds perfect. And then he went even deeper.
Well, it was torture for 6 months.
I forgot who said it, but the character's balls finally dropped.
Oh,
no.
Even Amy's somehow.
I made a joke about that where it's like, all right, Roger, say this line, and it's like, oh man, it's like, no, you gotta tone it down. All right, I will tone it down. Like,
Can you go
don't
deeper?
that deep.
I had a bit of a playthrough of it a little bit with the dub on Japanese, just to hear a little bit of the voices. I disliked Eggman's voice. It just was very monotone. Sonic's voice was alright, but it was obviously like a Japanese, like a boy band kind of voice. Amy's voice was actually like pretty nice. It was like a bit higher than the English one, but it was like, yeah, that's Amy. But don't
Sonic in the Japanese dub?
Hmm?
Junichi, the guy who's been voicing Sonic since Adventure, was he in?
I don't
I'm gonna be
know.
honest. I felt like Amy's English voice was a little monotone at times.
Yeah.
Probably because he didn't really have any lighthearted scenes. Like every single time you see her, she's kind of depressed.
Yeah, I kind of miss the like cheerful Amy. I'm gonna be honest because it's like I don't mind her having some maturity or like some heart because she's supposed to be the soul of the team, but now she's just kind of generic.
She sounds more cheerful in the Japanese dub if you have a listen to it. It's
Yeah.
like a bit higher, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I love Lisa Ortiz as Amy. You know, she gave her this like unique flair to her voice.
Her current voice actress, Cindy Robinson, I think, pretty
Yep.
inconsistent, but she doesn't do a bad job.
Yeah, I think it's more just the way we see Amy in this game. She just doesn't have any upbeat scenes. Mostly because people just hated her original personality, so just kind of eliminated out of existence now. So she pretty much is this generic girl. Although with the true love, they kind of get old Amy back, even though it's no longer aimed at Sonic. But maybe that's a blessing, who knows?
Yeah,
It's
weird.
implied, but it's not outright said. So
I guess so. Well, then again, she grew up, so there you go. Anyway, I think Melting Man wants us to talk about Tangle being mentioned. I'm not sure why that's so shocking. I was pretty much sure that IDW was already canon with the games. But yeah, what's your thoughts on
When?
Tangle being mentioned? I was
When?
more shocked at Styx, to be honest, because he's not supposed to
Yeah.
be canon with the games.
I didn't know Tangled was mentioned at all.
Oh, yeah.
One of the
Yeah.
idol talks, I think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Blaze was mentioned in one of those too. I got one. I was planning on trying to get audio for all of them.
It's interesting how it's interesting how inconsistent those are, like in a good way, that like everyone gets a different experience with that, because like the only character reference I got at all was Sonic mentioning Omega, which I think is great because I love Omega.
Nice.
But like, yeah, he can mention Tangle at times, which is really cool.
I'm not sure what triggers it. No, it's because people call it an idol comment, but I tried that, just letting Sonic idle, but it never showed up.
No, it's not an idle comment. It's context sensitive and random. So
Yeah, because I had one, but it was just when I was walking through a forest. Then you mentioned a Chowgarn, I think. But...
Yep.
yeah.
So for that one, I believe it's on the first island, and it's near some ruins where he can mention Tangle.
Huh.
All right. But yeah, I almost remembered what something Ian Flynn said before, that he just threw in as many references as possible just to see what Sonic Team will allow or not. This game pretty much feels like that, where he just threw in every single reference he could think of just to see what he could get away with. So I guess you get away with Sticks.
No wonder it feels disingenuous.
Yeah, because let's talk about the reference, because a lot of people have some issues with it. On one hand, it's kind of neat because he does put them in the right context, but it does feel kind of Family Guy-ish, where it's just, hey, remember X? Like, hey, remember this? It's a little much. It feels kind of like overcompensated because the whole game is
what is canon now?
Yeah, what is
You just
canon?
get to the point where you're just like, what's canon now, or are you just throwing this in our face, saying, "Hey, remember this"?
Hey,
And
but
so,
Sonic
but-
told us
But
everything
that's
is
my
canon.
issue with. Yeah, that's my issue with the references.
That's correct. It feels like overcompensation because the whole game is so disconnected from the rest of the Sonic universe. So then to make up for it, to just throw in as many references as possible. But yeah, it is something I really wanted. More world building, more knowing what's real and what's not, because the past games felt so disconnected from everything. But yeah, this is not really the way, just throwing these references. I want to see it physically represented.
I mean,
but that's expensive, so that's not going to happen.
Right.
I mean, the references are a little forced, but they're also completely unobtrusive. They just kind of like happen, Sonic offhandedly mentioning something at a quiet moment of the game.
Yeah, it's not too bad. There's usually enough space between. It's not like Sonic's throwing out reference every 5 seconds or something.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there was a small reference with Knuckles that actually showed some visuals.
Right.
When was that again? Like
that was like at the end, right? Where you fight those 5 towers.
Yeah. I did like that. Where it's for me, it's like with Knuckles. Like the reason he wanted to protect those ruins so much was because the picture he showed is that it was him, Sonic, and Tails' first meeting. So I guess he attributes those memories to those ruins. It's like they are memories of his friends, because then he talks about like how he actually feels alone.
Yeah.
So I did like that, actually.
What was your thoughts when you suddenly saw a random screenshot of Sonic 3 and Knuckles? Like, it's almost like they desperately want to make up for the fact that classic Sonic is no longer from a different dimension. It's like, no, this game is canon, trust us.
It's like, it's like, okay, is Sonic, classic Sonic, is he from a different dimension, or is he from the past? Just make up your mind.
It's that, okay, the consensus seems to be that the Sonic that appeared like in Forces and Generations, ever since they went back in time, that split off into the Mania timeline. Those things still happened, but now there's a different classic Sonic because of Generations.
Yeah, that makes the most sense, even though it doesn't really make sense how Tails immediately knows that as soon as classic Sonic shows up. But yeah, I see.
Like it was. Thinking. Let's not talk about Forces, right?
No, let's not.
How they handle the war.
Before we all go to rage about that poor game. Poor Forces, I kind of like it, but it's so easy to rage on that game. So much missed opportunities.
Mm-hmm. I at the end of the day, Forces is okay in my eyes, but Frontiers, I'm kind of glad we did get. We got some work on Tails, and we kind of got a good Tails back. And honestly, we have a canon little bro from Sonic. Like, finally. I know he calls him that in the comics, but now it's in the games.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm a fangirl. Anyway. No, the characters were really well done. I like Sonic and Knuckles joking around with each other again. I like seeing Amy have some, like, real presence in Sonic's mind again. And Sonic and Tails' brotherly love has never been more well represented, except maybe Sonic Movie 2.
Yeah, for sure. This game has the best writing of any Sonic game in a long, long time.
I would say best writing, period, in my opinion. I really like it.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that statement. I'm just saying, like, for sure, it's some of the best writing, and it's arguably the best writing. It's just really good.
It is best writing, it's just that there's too little plot because there's barely anything happening. I mean, that's my one problem with the writing. It's cool that you get all this like character revealment for Tails, but it doesn't really stand on its own because you kind of need the previous games to appreciate what's happening with Tails, and it doesn't really go anywhere, so you kind of need a game after this where his characterization gets utilized. So, unlike my previous favorite stories in a Sonic game, they actually stand alone. Like, this game doesn't really stand alone. Like, you really need to look at it in context of the games before and after. And, of course, we don't have the game after yet, so if the next game's going to have terrible writing again, then this game's going to feel like a waste. But that's for another time.
Yeah, I'm actually with Roger on this one. It's, like, that's another thing I felt like probably the references actually hurt the story a little bit, is because unlike Adventures 1 and 2, where the games could work on their own. I mean, they do make, like, Sonic Adventure 2 makes a reference to Sonic Adventure 1 with Tails and the Chaos Emerald, but it doesn't rely heavily on Adventure 1 to stand on its own. And when I think of a lot of other Sonic games, is that, yeah, they may make references to past games, but they don't use them as crutches, you know, or they don't say to the audience, hey, do you remember this? You know, it's mostly like in like side content that you get. Even 06 did this, or Next Gen did this, where it's like it at least tried to stand on its own, but you could at least make connections to past games, especially with Shadow. I feel like with Frontiers, one of its weaknesses in terms of story is that it does rely heavily on, or a little too heavily on, the past games. It's like you really need to know those in order to get or to feel the emotional impact of some things like Tails' characterization or Knuckles or Amy, and so yeah, I feel like maybe that's one of its weaknesses in terms of storytelling is that it relies too much on the past.
I personally did not mind that because for a while we've been getting Sonic games marketed towards new fans. Now we finally have a Sonic game for us, and a story for us, you know, the people who have been around. And yeah, that is a negative, but at least for me, who's been around forever, I kind of found it as a positive.
Even though, ironically, this game is also made for new fans, particularly Japanese ones, so they're going to be a little bit confused.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least the tone is focused for a change. Because I remember during our tone video, I was like, hey, just pick a tone from the beginning of the game and stick with it, please. And they did. And I appreciate that. And some of the references are necessary because a lot of the story does build off of Adventure 1, so I felt like that was warranted.
Yeah, and I agree that I don't think it's so much of a problem that so much of this game's story relies on previous games. I don't see that as too much of a problem because, like, it's nice to have continuity and, like, it's this feeling that, like, this is a progressing story and not, like, some standalone episodic adventure.
In a way, it's kind of like Sonic Colors. Like, it's the game we need right now. Like, I'm not a big fan of Colors, but I always respect that it's the kind of game Sonic needed at a time. Like a quiet one. And this is kind of what we need right now. Like, after all the disconnected Sonic games where continuity is all over the place, it's nice to have a game that kind of sets everything back on the rails. Like, okay, this is who Tails is. This is who Knuckles is. Here's how all these characters fit together again. So I definitely appreciate this game. But like I kind of said, how we're going to remember this game is going to be very dependent on what's going to follow. Like, if this is going to be followed up with more Ian Flynn writing and the characters actually going to be relevant again, then this game is going to be like the start of a new era, a good era. But if they're going to screw it up after this, then it's going to feel like a pathetic waste that didn't go anywhere. So, this poor game is really going to be dependent on what's coming next.
This is the step in the right direction. I hope the next game is more of this and better. Because this is what the series needs right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
It ain't perfect, but it's what the franchise needed. And yeah, it's I kind of now everything, and I know nobody else calls it this, but I consider everything after Force as postmodern instead of modern. And honestly, if the postmodern era ends up as well as I think this game was, then it's just I'm kind of sick of the whole like the consensus we always get whenever we get a Sonic game like this, where it's like, wow, they're going in the right direction, but just watch us get another Sonic Lost World where they screw it up again. I don't want a good start, I want a good game, period, you know?
Yeah. That's the problem. We always get tech demos and never really succeed. That's so frustrating about Generations, too, because I felt like, oh, you finally got the gameplay style right, even though the rest of the game is kind of boring. But if you're going to get like a real game with this style of gameplay, it's going to be great. But we never got that game. It's like, you were so close.
I still think this game gets a lot of things right, though. Like, it doesn't fall as short as, let's say, let me think, Colors does. It doesn't fall that short. I think it did much better in that sense.
Sure. And I'm so glad we finally have 3D platforming again. It's so surreal for me to actually see 3D platforming. Like, oh my god, I actually get to do 3D platforming again in Sonic game. Yay!
Till you get to the third island.
Go straight back to Sonic Colors,
I guess also for me with Frontiers is that I am anticipating people saying it's like, oh, Sonic is finally back on his feet after 06, and I'm just like, okay, I'm not a violent person, but you are really testing my patience with that.
I mean, for me,
I do have a camo belt in Taekwondo, but I don't want to use it. It's like, look, I got it. 06 was broken. It's not the best Sonic game, but I personally love it because of what it did for me, and it got me into Sonic. And even if I can acknowledge its faults, and I honestly don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be, and especially with Project 06. You know, it shows that hey, this game actually can work. It just needed some polishing. So
Exactly. Thanks
yeah.
to Project 06, the game gets a lot more respects. Oh, and secondly, people should be happy you use your taekwondo on them, because it's better than you using your bow and arrow skills on them.
Yeah, I do archery too. So
So I prefer the taekwondo over that.
Yeah, Liz is a bit of a powerhouse. Like I want to fight people, but Liz can actually fight people. But it takes a bit to set her off.
yes, I'm a very patient person, but just it's like yeah, I'll only use it as a last resort.
Just a little side mention, since we're talking about Sonic 06. Again, this game is so not relevant anymore. It actually released closer to the release of Sonic 1 than to today, and people still act like it was like 2 years ago.
I know.
That is so
like,
frustrating.
I feel like Forces is really getting more of the 06 treatment now, in that like they act like it's the worst thing ever and that it ruined everything and yada yada yada. It's just they always go through what they think is the worst Sonic game of the week, and it just becomes a trend to hate on something. I'm not a huge fan of that.
Yeah.
Well, it's the most dramatic one, I guess.
Well, everyone was like, wow, Forces is so terrible, completely forgetting that Boom Rise of Lyric exists.
Yeah, but Boom Rise of Lyric is boring. See, that's the biggest issue with Sonic 06. It's actually memorable and exciting. That's why people keep remembering it. Like, Rise of Lyric could have been worse, but it's so boring that nobody remembers. It's not fun to... Except for the air glitch, that was great.
Well, speaking of boring, Roger, you were saying that the game looked boring when you saw the trailers and all that. What's your opinion right now, when you've played the game and such?
Yeah, you're so busy during the game that you're not really paying too much attention to the landscape, so that really helps. It also helps that the daytime changes a lot. I mean, sometimes it feels like the sun is hyperactive in the game. Like, you see a nice sunset, like, oh, that's nice, and then 5 seconds later it's gone again. It's like, ah...
I noticed also the moon never changes phases in the game. It's always a full moon.
Yeah, Sylvia said the same. But yeah, I really hope the next game going to be more interesting, because if this is going to be every open zone game, I'm not going to be happy. But yeah, for this game, I'm willing to forgive. I was very antagonistic towards it at first, but the game won me over a little bit. The poppy fields in the forest, they look nice enough that I'm willing to ease down on my hatred for it.
Yeah.
But the Green Hill Zone, I never forget. I'll never forget. That one, get the heck out of here. Chemical Plant Zone looked awesome, so and Sky Sanctuary also looks awesome, so I'm willing to forgive those. So there you go. I'm more positive now, Harn. Isn't that wonderful? It's a Christmas
good
miracle.
to hear, because I was sick of being the optimistic one in the group.
I was cautiously optimistic about Frontiers, and I'm thankful that I was, because I do really like this game a lot. And, like, yeah, I will admit, yeah, it's because I'm biased, because I do love action RPG crap. And yeah, Sonic and Tails are written fantastically. But there's also so much new stuff that I love that it brings to the table, including Sage and the open... I actually like the open zone idea, even if the 2D sections are poopy.
Yeah.
I just really
and
hope
the combat is amazing.
Yep.
I was scared that the combat was going to be really repetitive, and I feel like if I turned on that auto combo function, that's what would have happened. But because I didn't, I had to strategize during battles, and I love that.
No, a lot of enemies actually force you to use different styles, like parry or little mini games. Like the Sand Shark is awesome. Surfing behind the Sand Shark.
I love that.
Speaking of the parry, I feel like they made that way too easy, because there is absolutely zero timing involved.
Yeah,
as long as you're holding the parry buttons, you'll parry anything, even laser beams.
Like, I saw the tutorial, and it was like, it's unnecessary to time your parry, and I was like, don't you mean necessary? But no, they did mean unnecessary. Why?
Oh, we have one interesting thing to talk about. So do you guys know about the Japanese version that had terrible translation, right?
No.
No, I had not heard of this.
Okay, so we know that Ian Flynn is the main writer of this. I mean, Sonic Team gave him the ingredients to work with, but Ian Flynn was the one who did most of the writing. And then I think Morio Kishimoto, the actual director, is the one who localized it back to Japanese. But apparently it's very terrible quality, like it feels like Google Translate. And it kind of makes me laugh, because it kind of gives the idea that Ian Flynn wrote so well that Morio Kishimoto just doesn't comprehend what's going on, so just have to rely on Google Translate. But yeah, I don't know.
We're getting back at him for Sonic Adventure 2. Japan didn't give us any info for Sonic Adventure 2. Now we're paying him back.
Payback time.
It's revenge.
That seems to be the case in a way, yeah. But I don't know what's going on. But that's kind of bad because this game was supposed to be like the big game meant to get the Japanese audiences back in track, and then they get this terrible translation. But yeah, that's one thing that's very noticeable how American written it is, because the characters are so much more like self-reflective and so much more aware of them being hypocrites. Like I never see Japanese writing do that, where Sage actually like thinks about like, oh yeah, I'm kind of trying to kill you, even though I'm also respectful towards you. Like it's more like brought in the forefront, while the Japanese usually keep them more internalized. I don't know how to explain that, but like the characters feel a lot more like open about their feelings, so that really
Didn't
gives it a more.
Tom say that's like from the Sonic Music Dissected that's kind of a trope with Flynn's writing, where characters like say what's happening on screen.
Kinda, yeah. Oh well.
Yeah. I mean, overall, like, I was, like, cautious of Frontiers, mostly because it's like we had these games I thought that were kind of lukewarm. And then Scholars Ultimate came out, and I saw the reception for that, and, yeah, but I will say, for the most part, I was pleasantly surprised that it turned out the way that it did. I mean, it has a lot of great stuff that I want to see going forward. It's just, I think now I would like to see some other elements introduced, like having more playable characters. I really miss that. And I could see in this game where it's, especially because I feel like sometimes the combat could get a little too complicated with Sonic having all these moves and different button sets, where it's like, you know what? No, sorry. Sorry, swallowed wrong. It's like if you had like different characters, maybe like you could help like divide that up, kind of like in Heroes, where certain characters could pull off certain moves.
This would have been the perfect game to get the other characters back, because again, Tails and Knuckles work very complicated in Booster games because it's so horizontal. But here's a lot of climbing, a lot of like flying and climbing. Really could have added extra dimension to the platforming and to the combat as well. So it is
like they become your amigo character once you get them.
Yeah, or RPG battle partners, definitely. So, hey, if we get a second open zone game, I think there's a pretty decent chance we're going to get more playable characters. I mean, it's more easily applicable than in a Boost game, so who knows? Here's hoping.
Yeah, one thing I would have actually loved to see is the Triple S.
You all know my big
I would have loved to have seen that, where they team up again. That would have been cool, especially since this game kind of deals with time a little bit, with them seeing the past and everything.
Shadow and Silver, yeah. Well, it's about time they get...
Yeah, I would love to have seen Shadow and Silver, and like I could see like Sonic being the parkour one, where you know he's able to like run up walls, and he's able to like pull off all these parkour moves. Shadow's the more heavy combat one because of his psychic powers, and then Silver's kind of the navigator because you know he can fly up and access areas the others can, and then he could find ways to help them get up.
You might be lucky. I mean, the game does end with Tails, Knuckles, and Amy leaving Sonic, so maybe that's a setup for a Sonic Shadow Silver game next. I doubt it.
Oh my gosh, if we got that, I would be so happy.
You want to know my big giant game theory about all of this? This is going to blow your guys' mind. Are you ready?
Sure.
Sure, I don't need my mind.
All right, you ready? This is Sonic Synergy.
Oh yeah, you told me this.
Think
Sonic
about
Synergy,
it.
Huh?
Yeah, so we have the more atmospheric gameplay, the main characters that were pretty much going to be in Sonic Synergy, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy. We have the Ancients, we have the beat-em-up gameplay, and we have the more atmospheric tone, the more, like, you know, platforming. I seriously think this is Sonic Synergy actually realized.
And it's a prequel to Sonic Boom because 6 is mentioned.
Okay,
And,
so
yeah, I
this is
see
the
your
game
point.
before Sonic becomes grumpy grandpa-ish.
If only Lyric showed up as a pointless bonus boss fight somewhere.
I honestly thought the bonus, like the secret boss for this game, was going to be perfect chaos because of all of the, you know, we got history with the Ancients, how they're chaos. And in one cutscene, they mention the Master Emerald and whatever. It's like, if we have to, we could bring the Chaos Emeralds to the Master Emerald, and the other Ancients, like, hopefully it won't have to come to that. And that also made me think, how are they going to top the Supersonic boss when we had, like, 3 Supersonic bosses? I thought they were gonna bring back Hypersonic, genuinely, and then it didn't happen.
Instead, they brought back Space Invaders.
Yeah.
Oh, well. But man, I have to say, I love the supersonic fights because for the first time they don't feel like mini games, but actual extensions of the main gameplay. Because your normal fighting moves as regular Sonic translate to supersonic, so that's kind of cool new twist on it. Because usually supersonic is completely detached from how Sonic behaves normally. So now it's actually an extension of Sonic himself, so that's a pretty cool twist. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
Really stellar part of the gameplay, honestly. I love the supersonic bosses. The music for them is amazing too. Why have I never thought of Screamo with supersonic? It makes so much sense.
After I got over my initial horror of Sonic being eaten, then yeah, I would say that yeah, the boss fights Supersonic are really good.
It is.
Seriously, that messed me up. I'm not gonna lie.
They did a lot of surprising things with the Titan fights, yeah. I think my favorite part with the Titan fights, from what I've seen from Roger, is the third fight at the end, the last bit. That was just amazing. Sorry for spoilers, big spoilers here. At some point, Supersonic picks up the sword and uses the sword to defeat the Titan, chopping it in half, and he just falls apart as if it was like from an anime. It was like,
It was so
I was smiling at that point, like, oh, this is great, this is, yay!
I was like, that is actually quite satisfying.
Yes, yes, exactly, like, shunk! There we go.
So
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gleefully smiling.
Exactly.
I would say that easily, like, there's 4 Titan bosses in the game, and if you were to put like a top 5 best Sonic bosses of all time, all 4 of them would be on there.
Yeah. Some Sonic bosses are.
So
I think maybe though the last one, because it feels underwhelming. Like
It's very short because you're probably overpowered at that point, yeah.
Sure, yeah, but like the presentation alone on these fights just carries them so well.
I kind of wish what they did for the final boss, you could fight all the other Titans back to back to back, except you have to do it with all of the rings that you already have, and you would be able to get through them faster because you know what to do, and then at the very end you'd have the last one.
That's what the game is missing, yeah, boss rush. Shame it's not part of the arcade mod. But yeah, as awesome as the boss fights are, I have one issue with the supersonic fights. Namely, there's not much of an emotional payoff or build-up towards it. I mean, previously, supersonic fights were like big emotional punches to the story. Like, yeah, Sonic and Shadow are teaming up. This is a moment of truth. Well, here it just feels like a chore. Talk to Amy. Collect this item. Collect that item. Epic boss fight! Now talk to Tails. Now collect this item. Like, it feels like it's just part of your chore list. So it kind of misses that emotional punch. And it kind of gives it a little bit of a hollow feeling, but that's my only complaint. Other than that, those are super awesome, absolutely, yeah.
I think maybe what could have helped remedy that is if you had an additional power-up, like at the end where Sonic goes hyper again.
That would have been neat, yeah. But hey, they have to leave some stuff.
They talk about the Master Emerald, and isn't it that the Master Emerald is what makes Super Emeralds?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I think that would have actually helped where they mentioned the Master Emerald, and heck, Knuckles is there. So it's like, yeah, maybe he could have somehow gotten the Master Emerald, and then Sonic has to go hyper, and that shows you, dang, this boss is actually really tough. Instead, it's just a regular super fight with Sage helping you. I think maybe that's another reason why the final boss is kind of underwhelming, is because it's just a copy and paste of what you did in the previous islands. I'm not saying it's bad. Again, the presentation is pretty good, and again, overall, the game looks amazing. I think it's just, I just feel like the final boss could have done more.
Absolutely, yeah.
I kind of agree with Rhino. It would be cool if we had like a cybersonic form or something like that. Something new to spice up the final boss is really all it needed.
I mean, technically, he had a Sonic cyber form when he's sick and dying in the weird red world.
Yeah, but like a cool cyber form, like where you could do a Psyloop in Supersonic would be dope. And honestly, I do like the progression of Sonic, like getting sick and dying over the course of the game. How he's more and more tired and worn out. I like that. It's effective.
Yeah, that was a cool effect.
Then he was holding his head while having a headache or such, and then the next part, then he's like crouched down, leaned over a bit, like, I really don't feel good at all. Yeah, that was a nice detail.
Until you start
And-
playing, then he's all happy again. Whee!
It's funny because like all of these cutscenes, he's like walking because he can barely move, and then the cutscene's over and he's just back to full speed. As
Yes.
if
That's still gotta be a
Yeah.
joke on my parody.
I kind of
really takes the impact out of that.
I was just guessing that, like, oh, I guess Sonic's he's running around, like, because he has to, I guess, or he's climbing up this because he has to. At least that was the impression on the 4th island.
Well, he's
But
being
otherwise, yeah.
he's being forced by the player to move, even though he's feeling terrible.
Please, I feel nauseous.
No.
Stop.
Like a puppet.
Yay,
Why are
silence!
we Undertale all of a sudden?
Oh boy.
Kind of reminds me of our Sonic Innovation video where, or a recent one with Colors Ultimate where we talk about how it's actually the Wisps who are the main characters because they're just using Sonic as
The villains, yeah.
as a means to project their powers.
The game is about mind manipulation, so maybe the Wisp were doing that all along.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah,
Feels so right.
I do like the joke that like Sonic did get a new form in this, and it's the corruption. Introducing Sonic's new form, cancer.
Death.
Oh
Sonic being completely frozen and corrupted did mess me up a little.
Introducing Chemo Sonic.
Emo Sonic.
Quick, guys, we have to gather around and give him chemotherapy.
Friendship therapy.
Friendship chemo.
Chemo.
This got dark very quick.
Yeah. I did think, like, when Sonic was being that corrupted and getting in pain and almost froze up, that part before, it was kind of reminding me of the IDW, the metal virus.
Yeah,
that thing.
I was gonna-
It was
yeah, I
like
was
taking
thinking
over
that.
and stuff. So I thought, like, oh, is he gonna be evil now or something? No, he just froze
They would
in
never.
place. It was like, oh, come on. They could have done something there, and then Amy, Tails, and Knuckles could have done something to get his sense back or something. But no, instead he just froze.
Yeah, that's kind of why I suggested, like, having a cyberspace level that Sonic would have to run through after they merge with him. Just something to make it earned.
Yeah, okay, okay, the moment between them, like, that friendship moment is actually really, like, I do like it, but at the same time, it is also kind of a get-out-of-plot-free card.
Mm-hmm.
Or,
Pretty much, yeah.
as someone very close to me once coined a plan BS, you know, where, to clarify what a plan BS is that you have, characters in, like, impossible situations, and then, they say, okay, it's time for plan B, or it's like, or I had a plan B all along, and it's just something, like, it's just something where it's like, okay, you could have only known that if it was the plot. Like, this happens in shonen anime all the time. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Being a good example, where, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Will get the upper hand, but then then his opponent will say, ha, you stumbled right into my trap, and so I activate my trap card, you know, or whatever. And, yeah, we have officially dubbed that a plan BS. Just to create like, yeah.
I like that. I might steal that.
Go ahead, you can use it. It's a plan BS.
I think emotionally it made total sense because, like, Tails says that, like, you know, Sonic worked too hard for this. We can't let it go to waste. So them helping him out in that aspect is good. I just wish it connected better gameplay wise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of wish there was more of a story relative cyberspace level because you have the concept of you going through your memories, but it's never really utilized anyway. Could have been a
Right.
neat, could have been a neat thing. Oh well. Missed
Something
it.
we noticed earlier, though, like with one of the chats we had, Roger had with Sage. Sonic was talking in a way that made me and Roger think like, oh, he's talking like Tails, and that was after they were like friendship and helped Sonic out. So
Yeah, he starts talking more mechanical and technical towards Sage in the final island, yeah, where he's kind of like exploring the lore and all that and the meaning of things. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, that felt very Tails-like way of talking. So we were thinking like maybe there was like a glimpse of Tails, Amy, and Knuckles that was temporarily in Sonic somehow, like in his memory or his ways or something.
Right. I did kind of.
Oh my gosh, you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of Sora from Kingdom Hearts, where he's got first it's like he's got like Kyrie and Ventus's hearts in him, and then there's that meme with Mike Wazowski from Monsters Inc. Where it's like how many kids you got in there? So that kind of reminds me of it's like okay, so now apparently Sonic is Sora in this game.
Speaking of Kingdom Hearts, I actually thought what would propel this game from a 7 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10 is a similar thing to Kingdom Hearts 3, where they made a Remind DLC that added to the final boss. I feel like that would really elevate this game.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe we'll get some DLC later on. I was really expecting them to pull.
Hopefully.
I was really expecting them because this is the most expensive game segment, even though it still feels kind of cheap. So I was kind of really expecting them to have a lot of DLC to kind of capitalize on that.
They have some of it. The soap shoes, the Monster Hunter armor.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I plan on getting them just for the sake of having them. And also, Monster Hunter and Sonic, I don't know if you guys know this, so they've had a pretty close relationship over the years. In Monster Hunter 4U, you can get Sonic's Excalibur sword for one of your Palicos and have them dress as Excalibur Sonic. You could even get there's even Sonic outfits and Tails outfits for your canine companion, and that's in the new one, Monster Hunter for the Switch. Rise, yeah, that's what it's called. So it's really nice to see Monster Hunter in Sonic now, because it really just shows how much they like each other, I guess.
Speaking
That's
of,
why I like Monster Hunter, by the way, I promise.
speaking of these, the like soap shoes and the Rathalos armor, I noticed like I was expecting like a lot more customization because like there is the soap shoes, there is the Rathalos armor, and there was like the deluxe edition like Tims and leather gloves.
Yeah, the
But,
adventure
like,
here or whatever.
Yeah, but like there's, as far as I can tell, no unlockable items at all.
Yeah, that kind of stinks. I wish they would have more.
Because like that was something I thought like Colors Ultimate did kind of neat, but definitely needed expansion. And I thought they were going to do that here. They're like, oh, finally, there's going to be like customizable clothes for Sonic, and then there's not.
I think it was better in Forces.
Well, you just haven't found the secret clothes store on the island yet.
Maybe
The closed door
Yeah,
cyberspace.
We need
It's
another
somewhere on the
thing,
third
like
island.
Hermit or Elder. Have like Glamour Coco or something like that.
But yeah, it is kind of cool that they have such a close relationship with Monster Hunter. I hope Sega works with Capcom more often, so we get a Sonic and Phoenix Wright crossover. Eggman needs to be
yes,
brought
I
to
would love
court.
that. Not to mention there's a Miles in Phoenix Wright and a Miles in Sonic.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously the crossover we need is Sonic and Mega Man.
Yeah,
Because-
that's the most obvious
Yeah.
one. And to
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
Mega Man out of retirement again.
Yeah, and plus they could make a Worlds Unite canon, and Melting Man would finally be interested in the games again or something.
Oh, God,
I just had
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I just had a thing in the chat. Gotharos saying like, also, why is Sonic dealing so much with mental illnesses lately? First, the first movie he got depressed, and in that movie he's dealing with loneliness and relationship issues with his friends.
Well, he has so many mental issues because he's playing his own games. Sorry,
Tortured
too
for
easy
6
of a joke.
months in Frontiers. I think that messed him up for a while.
He's got so many mental illnesses because he's supposed to be relatable to the Sonic
Yeah,
fans.
he's relatable.
There's so many painful jokes to make there, yeah.
Oh no.
Hey, we're Sonic friends, so we're insulting ourselves anyway.
Touche.
But yeah, it does happen in the game that Tails is being like doubting a lot about his place as a friend with Sonic and all that. So maybe that's
so
also
I'm glad they finally talked about it, because that's been a huge thing about Tails' character forever, and they finally discussed it, and Sonic like got to confirm what he thinks about Tails. And like the storyboarding and the voice acting, like all of it's really good. I seriously, when the first cutscene came around, I was like, wait, what the fuck is storyboarding doing in my Sonic game? Like, I was so surprised. I was like, why is this well animated and good? There are some people who are crapping like, oh, the cutscenes look terrible, but honestly, the animation is so good, I don't even care.
I love how Knuckles and Sonic look together. How they always have these
Yeah.
weird poses, like they're seizing each other up.
I love it.
Mm.
And the
They have a
facial
good
expression.
chemistry going on, yeah.
And there was even something, a really subtle detail I noticed when Tails, after he says like, "Oh, well then I'm wildly inconsistent," and then Sonic looks at Tails, he's kind of like, he's clearly feeling bad that Tails thinks that way about himself, but he makes sure he takes a breath and puts a smile on his face before he talks again. It's such a nice, subtle detail I've never seen in any other Sonic game, and I love that.
Absolutely, yeah. And they make Sonic a lot more human this time, or hedgehoggy, whatever you want to call it. But man, that line, I've been so inconsistent lately. That's as close as you can get to just calling out the game writing directly. Like, just one step further was directly, oh man, the people who were writing me were terrible. That's Ian Flint's talent, I guess. Keeping the fourth wall jokes slightly inboard still. But yeah, I think we've talked about pretty much everything there's to say. Anyone else has any weird topic they want to talk about in Sonic Frontiers? Is everything alright? Huh, technical issues? Everyone's muted? I have no idea what the heck is going on. That is weird. Sorry everyone. Technical issues, and I don't have my technical... Let's start...
You back, Roger?
I think I'm back.
Can you
Can you hear
us?
us now?
I can hear you, yeah.
Yay!
Well, that was awkward.
Explains why we were getting interrupted the whole time by Roger.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Well,
But yeah, storyboarding is fantastic in this game, and the Cyberspace Tales thing, I think that was I think that was kind of like Tails' inner critic, I guess, personified, and saying bad things about Tails, which is why he was like, oh, there's this other version of me that's saying that I'm just a follower and I can't think for myself. And yeah, I feel like that's what it was.
Sure. And now we completely lost. Again?
What? Well, we can hear you.
Oh. Alright. That conversation just died.
Yeah.
Just
Poor
to wind
Erin.
you up.
Sorry.
I'm just trying to think, like, what else can we mention or talk about with the game? Okay, I got something. What's the biggest frustration you had with the game? For everyone, like, the actual biggest, like, making
The
go.
biggest frustration I had was definitely navigating Chaos Island.
Yep. So disorientating when it's constantly skipping to 2D so you don't know where you are and relative to the island.
And I had such a hard time finding the shrine for the Blue Emerald.
Oh boy. I had trouble with getting to Tails on his plateau at one point. I was stuck for like 2 hours there.
Yeah, I had to use a tutorial or like a video to figure out how to get to the island, and then it turned out it's like, oh, the way is somewhere, and then...
Yeah, it was some, like, rail really far away from where you would expect it to be.
Yeah,
And I felt so stupid when I found it. Like, that should have been way more obvious.
I had that
want
with...
to like look up anything, like any tutorials, so I had to figure out everything myself. My
Same
playthrough
here.
was about 20 hours. Does anybody have a final time for if you've beaten the game, that is?
I think my final time was 26 and a half hours. But keep in mind, I got I 100%ed the game, so
I did not.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
about 21 hours myself, 22. Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
I heard someone brag they did it in 10 hours, but
jeez.
Probably not 100% though.
no, probably not.
Also,
Speed-
it depends
speed-
on what difficulty you played on as well, because I played on hard.
Same.
Same.
I'm watching speedruns of this game is going to be interesting because so
Yes.
much of this game is optional. I'm fascinated to see what the most optimized route is.
Fishing,
Go straight to
fishing,
Big to
fishing,
Get.
fishing, 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 launching yourself off a tiny little anthill to rocket up 50 million feet in the air to get on top of an emerald shrine. Fishing, 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 fishing. Yeah.
So the whole point of the overworld is just getting purple coins to fish more.
Wait till the
Probably.
comet range starts. Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to nerf how much you can, like, how many tokens or how much you get from Big's fishing, because patches. We're only at 1.01 of the game so far. I'm wondering what the patches are going to be.
Good question. Yeah.
I hope it's going to be the controls. Like I mentioned, the wall climbing was rather broken to me. When you want to go left, or you push left and then you go up, or right and you go down, or any other direction. I think that bit was broken.
We'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
apparently, Sonic Team already worked very long and changed a lot of things, because I think hackers already found that there's actually going downhill physics there. A lot of people missed out. Sonic Team actually did implant them, but just kind of removed them. So I guess a lot of our irritations are still deliberate decisions they made rather than mistakes.
Got it, huh?
Who knows?
I don't know if anybody got to hear, like, from the actual live stream, but they do actually explain the game's mechanics in the context of the story, and it's kind of strange that apparently not only Sonic can see the markers that are on the ground, and he does talk about a map being beamed in his head. And it's explained not in a fourth wall breaky way. It's explained, like, with lore and stuff, which I thought was actually pretty rad.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea that the aliens communicate by directly transplanting their thoughts and ideas. The only thing I found funny about it is that the whole point of those cyberspace things was for the aliens to preserve their culture and what their people were like. Except the only thing Sonic gets out of them is Green Hill Zone. So I guess their entire civilization is Green Hill Zone.
Wow, there's all this amazing stuff in here. Too bad you can't see literally any of it, Sonic.
Yeah, you'd think that if the cyberspace is about preserving their culture, you get a bunch of levels based on their planet. That would be kind of cool world building, but alas.
Yeah, it really would have. Oh, man. That's what I hate about, like, oh, this could have been cool. Like, I hate saying that about Sonic games. Like, I just want it to happen. I will say they delivered on that with Super Sonic, though.
Yep, definitely.
I guess to answer your question, most frustrating part about the game for me, I hated it whenever the camera was ripped away from me for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Any reason. If it's a
Yeah.
Guardian, if it's me getting into a 2D segment on accident, nothing disoriented me more than that. And I hate it when it's like, even after the Guardian cutscene, I remember I was trying to talk to Tails and it wouldn't let me because I was technically in combat, even though the Guardian was a million miles away from me. And I was like, shut up, I want to talk to my son, leave me alone. It kept ripping the camera away. It's, they really need to add a skip button to those Guardian scenes.
Oh, especially frustrating when I wanted to like talk to someone, but then I accidentally triggered a boss battle, but the boss battle just didn't stop because it was one that kept flying around the island. So I was just running away from the boss. Like, leave me alone!
Come on, I want my stupid lore!
I think the funniest example of that for me was that there was a fortress mini boss near a portal I was trying to get to, and I would go to the portal and the fortress boss spawned, and I waited for it to fly away, and when it finally flew away, it teleported back to where it spawns.
That's probably the most annoying one because it can teleport. Is that
Yeah.
fortress boss. And is it just me, or is it called that because it's supposed to be like a reference to one of the classic games about how it drops bombs?
I thought the same thing. Like it's similar to what is that?
Sonic 3 and Knuckles?
A flying battery
Yeah.
from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Yeah, I thought that's what the reference was, but like, yeah, that thing doesn't have fortress in the name. So, but like, I did like it. It's like, oh, it drops bombs, just like a flying battery.
Yeah, pretty cool. Who knows? Then again, it's just a typical cool thing to do, so would make sense for them to come up with the idea for the second time, even if it's not a direct reference, I guess.
Yeah.
To answer your question for me, it would have to be the level where you have to go up those 5 towers.
6 times, I think, even.
Oh yeah.
6.
Yeah, and to clarify though, like it was getting really late when I was playing, and so maybe I was also a little bit tired, but I kept falling off. And I know that there are pulleys that you can use to get yourself up there when you complete a segment, but still, like, I got really frustrated going up those just because it was very time consuming. Again, it was probably because it was late and I was tired, but yeah, that was a segment where I was just like, ugh.
Yeah, I understand. I heard more people complain about it, and I think GE reviews also complain about that.
Right. I didn't have that hard of a time with the platforming sections. Like, I didn't fall too many times during that portion, but that's just me.
But what's too many times?
Too many times? I fell off of one of them twice and another one once, and then I made the rest of them my first try.
Oh, there you go. Pretty good.
So, let's see. Another positive, sound design rocks in this game, and part of what makes combat feel good is sound design, and I think they nailed it.
Yep.
Outside of combat, it's good as well. Let's see. Yeah, the tone is focused for a change. Really great breath of fresh air as far as story goes.
But yeah, I was mentioning the negative parts, not the positive just yet.
Oh, I know. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm trying to find
I
other
guess
things to
one
talk.
negative aspect of the story is that we don't really. I would have liked to see more of Eggman and Sage, like, together, because it becomes a major plot point at the end, but we don't really see much of it. We just see it from Sonic's perspective, the aftermath.
Oh, the one thing made me laugh so hard when Sage gets his sad flashbacks that it's just constantly the same shot of her talking. It almost reminded me of a Beavis and Butthead joke where they have their life flight in front of them and it's just constantly the same shot of them sitting in front of the TV. It made me laugh so hard. Like, all the things we did together, it's just the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I'm looking at some of the footage, and Sonic in water in the Overworld is so strange. Like, it's like they didn't even do anything for water physics for Sonic. They were just like, oh yeah, it's just Sonic running on land except underwater. And there's an oxygen meter, I guess. Like, that's it.
Yeah, missed opportunity. But then again, who likes underwater stages, I guess.
I was kind of disappointed that the oxygen meter will not play the drowning music if you get close to drowning, but it does. But it does play if you're trapped inside one of those bubble robots on the last island. So
yeah, very strange decision.
Oh well. But yeah.
What about you, Euan? You haven't been talking much. So, what's your most negative thing so far of what you've played?
Listening to me talk about the game.
Well, you are pretty much the negative wave of the group.
Well, he's been doing better.
Well, I know. I mean, obviously here he's like, oh yeah, I've enjoyed the game to an extent.
I just miss towns. I want cities and towns and more worlds. I don't like the whole wasteland thing. But yeah, never mind me about the game. Now you complain. Go to the dark side.
Come join the dark side, Euan. Must I? Yes.
Yes.
Do it. Do it.
Do it.
Yes. Give into your anger.
Well, I suppose I did mention that. I suppose one big issue I had was when I ended up interacting with the squid sort of boss that was going around the island, and yet I ended up falling off the rail whilst it was in a loop position, and as a result the camera got stuck and I was just wandering around the area just like, oh crap, what am I going to do? Is this what's going to be like for the rest of the game? just me running off straight into the distance as a tiny speck.
Roger has footage of that, so I think.
Yeah, I mean, they'll pop up shortly at some point. But that was just like the problem. It's like, oh come on, why can't I get out of this camera issue, and then suddenly, like, the boss went round again, and I somehow managed to get on it, and it sorted out the camera, but after that, I just literally just died because I was unprepared for the boss, because I was like... But
Footage
yeah,
should be
I
on
think
screen.
that's the only major gripe I have at the moment with the game, was just that one moment.
I found
Alrighty.
your lack of dark side disturbing.
Yeah, this is the question question. It's just like me in the distance. I mean, the camera is stored back to normal when I went through like rings and hoops and such, but after that, it's just like, there you are, you're in the distance. Hello.
Oh, I guess that reminds me. That's the thing, they're kind of forgettable. The one other frustrating part of the gameplay was when the starfall things would happen and you pick up star bits from Mario Galaxy off of the ground. That UI was way too big and it blocked a good portion of the screen. And when I was on the third island, I was like, can you leave? Because I was inside of this really interesting looking place and I was like, can this UI get off of my screen so I can look at it, please?
Oh, I had a wonderful moment in the game where I had to wait for nightfall for a mission, and it's finally night, and then I had a mission where I have to get those glowy bits, but then the stupid meteors fell as well, so I couldn't recognize them. That was such a
that
double whammy. Like, ah!
Where is it? Where is it? Which one is it? Ah! Yeah.
I know they're called the Starfall Islands, but like, I really did not like this game mechanic. You get so many purple tokens anyway. We really did not need that slot machine thing.
So here's a funny thing that happened to me on the last island is the Starfall night happened during time when I was getting a lot of cutscenes. So the slot machine would disappear, a cutscene would start, it would show up, and then it would disappear again, and it would start another cutscene, and the slot machine would show up again, and it just kept showing up, and it wouldn't go through a full cycle because all the cutscenes were so short. So it just kept popping up on the screen over and over and over again.
I actually had a moment, like, not even, like, probably 20 minutes into the game where it's like after I got one of those map marks where you do a specific action and then more of your map will be revealed, where I just literally, Sonic just literally would not move. I would, like, I'd be moving the joystick and he wouldn't move. I couldn't jump and I couldn't do anything. Like, he had just frozen. And so I had to restart the game. But, yeah, I think that only happened, like, twice, though.
Never happened to me. You're unlucky.
Yeah, it was
You played on
weird.
PC?
I play on PS5.
Oh, that should be the best version. Oh, that's awkward.
Yeah, it was weird. Like, I don't know what happened. I think I might have hit a glitch or something, but yeah, that was weird.
Oh, I had to play it.
It almost sounds like everyone has at least got one glitch, because Roger had with was the third Titan that you went to the second stage of that fight, and Roger was supposed to be blocking that saw blade thing, but he couldn't do really much besides flying around. He couldn't even attack, right, Roger?
Yeah, I had to die once and then the level went different.
Yeah, that was like, everyone at least gets one glitch.
Yep.
Hooray!
Sala, you want to say something?
I mean,
what was it? I mean, I had another thought a long time ago, but so I guess I'll say that while I still remember it. But so there's the thing about like Eggman considers Sage to be his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
What if Sage is also an ancestor of Eggman Nega?
Oh boy!
Because we've always wondered, like, who the hell had sex with Eggman? Maybe it was nobody. Maybe he just actually asexually reproduced to create Sage.
We never knew if
Every time
Eggman
your
Nega's
procedure
human.
stops
thing,
working,
he
we
thought
somehow
about-
get on this topic.
In one of the memos, he talks about giving her like a real body. So I guess he would have biologically engineered it, maybe not based on his own genetics, but I guess it would be somewhat interesting.
Wait, he said he
she
wants
has
to
a
give her a
white
real
hair.
body? I don't remember.
Yeah, in one of the memos, she said like, "Oh, I can make her alive, but you know, it's like, oh, like anyone can make a living body. It's just proteins put together."
together.
What else did he say? Yeah, he said like, and by the way, her dad is a genius or something like that. So he was thinking about it.
I hope he's not planning on making a real biological daughter and then replacing her mind with Sage. That would be creepy.
Oh God!
That's so Neon Genesis. It's not even funny.
Well, that does seem to be one of their inspirations, so I wouldn't be
Yeah, the
surprised.
3 major inspirations: Breath of the Wild, Shadow of the Colossus, and Neon Genesis Evangelion. Okay,
Anything but
cool.
Sonic games. Other
I
Oh,
mean,
man, I just had a thought.
Here comes
What
the
if he
thought.
got
That
Maria's
I
dead body and put Sage's personality?
oh no!
A zombie.
I'm
wait.
sorry.
The next frontier.
I am so sorry.
Hold on. So we're saying a non-biological organism occupying a corpse? That's a JoJo's reference.
Of course it is.
You know, one of
I am
the
so
voice actors from
sorry.
JoJo was in this.
2 of them.
Two of
Kakyoin
them.
and Anne.
It's all
Yeah, 'cause-
connected.
Because Kakyoin is Big the Cat.
Oh boy.
I feel like Sonic Team wants to forget about Eggman Nega, but only because of his name.
Well, they love
Probably.
using him for the Olympics, probably because he's easy and cheap to create as an extra
Oh.
character.
I did not know that.
Anyway,
Oh,
when
yeah,
I
he's
played
in-
the game for the first time and didn't know Sage was so nice, I kind of love how you can kind of screw around her, and the overworld looks so funny to me. Like, oh, here's this creepy looking villain, and you're just kind of screwing around her. Hello, I'm annoying you.
Speaking of
I
creep,
kind of like the twist where Sonic was actually helping out the bad guy, and Sage was the good guy all along.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do kind of like that. It's again Shadow of the Colossus, but also, I was thinking, like, why is Sage standing in the overworld but she's floating in the cutscenes? And then right after I said that, I got into a cutscene with Sage, and Sage was hovering off of the cliff a little bit, but she was still standing, and I was like, that's not what I meant.
the creepiest thing with Sage though is whenever she's like talking to Sonic, but then she just, as she's floating in the air, she just turns around without moving her arms or anything. It was like, yeah.
Well, like almost like a door creak in a way. It's like
Exactly.
There's another joke for my parody, I guess.
Ba-da-ba.
But yeah, Euan, we spoke over you a couple times. What's something you wanted to say?
was there?
Oh, never mind. I thought you tried to say something and we kept interrupting you.
Maybe you did, but I forgot.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
Sorry.
No worries. You've obviously got a lot to say, and I barely have anything to say because I barely played much of it compared to you guys.
Poor Euan.
I know, because I worked hard on that thumbnail for you.
That's kind of my fault, so I'm responsible.
Well, I had to do it, otherwise, how else would you have completed the game on time?
True.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I blasted through it. Even then, I still tried to do all the side stories because I just loved them too much. Cutscenes were very much a reward in this game.
Yep, definitely. And a lot of them.
I wish I knew that when you came to certain signs, you had to do the Psy loop, and then you could get like 10 memory chips at a time. I wish I knew that in advance, because going through Knuckle Stage, it was so tedious. And yeah, I wish that I knew that ahead of time, or like maybe you could have had, like, you could have like maybe had a moment where that screen pops up and tells you like do a Psy loop on this and see what happens. And so
Oh man, there was one part on Tails' Island, on Chaos Island, where one Sage side story required like 128 tokens or something like that, and I went around for a while just collecting tokens, and when I got to her, I was so impatient, I was like, take the stupid tokens and give me lore before I do a child abuse. I'm so I was very impatient during Chaos Island, because I was like, I just want to talk to Tails, I just want to talk to Sage. The last island, I definitely just fished to get all of the tokens, and I got like 200 tokens, so I could just
Fair.
blast through the rest of it.
I do finally remember that other thing I was going to say, is that so the map markers, the little things you can do that for challenges to unlock more of the map, there's like this funny thing where like Sonic and Knuckles are talking about it, and Sonic's like, oh, I wonder what this symbol means, and it's clearly just a question mark. And then later he brings it up to Tails again, like he's like, oh, I wonder what this symbol means, and Tails is like, it doesn't seem remarkable, and it's never brought up again.
Sonic, it's
What I like about that sign with the question mark is during the time when we got the first teasers, trailers, whatever, of levels and such, we saw that question mark, and people were thinking like, oh, that's probably a placeholder. That's temporarily. They don't have anything to fill in with that yet. But it turns out to be just part of the game in the end.
Oh well.
I'm also, speaking of symbols, interested that we never actually found out what the logo symbol means from the original reveal trailer.
Yeah. Remember when we called this Sonic Zap? Good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, so for ease of use, let's just call it the Zap symbol. It shows up several times throughout the game, and we never find out what it means.
It's always when some soul finds peace or goes to heaven or whatever
Yeah.
it means. It's something,
And
something to do with that.
then in the post-credits scene, it's also on Eggman's computer as Sage comes back.
Maybe a symbol of resurrection, or what's it called again when you come back alive?
Resurrection?
Restoration?
No,
Reincarnation, yeah.
Reincarnation, that's the one I was looking for, yeah. Maybe something like that.
I was actually expecting maybe there to be like a reincarnation story where like Sonic is a reincarnation of one of these alien beings.
If that was the case, I actually would have been mad.
Me too.
I'm honestly okay with. I like the mystery, like you're unfolding the mystery with the rest of the characters. I really like that about the story, and I still like some loose ends being left at after a game is done and over with because it gives you something to think about. And I think that symbol's one of those things.
Sure. You got just enough that it's satisfying, but not enough that there's still plenty left to explore. Anyway, can we appreciate how accommodating the main villain is? I mean, here he is, escaped, about to destroy the world, and yet he just casually lets Sonic collect the Chaos Emeralds first. Even gives him advice how to talk with his friends first. Explore the island first so we can talk more with Sage, so she can tell you how to kill me. Okay, thank you, villain. That's nice of you.
But what about this? He's like, oh, you're not ready yet to blah 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 do this kind of thing. Even though it's already in the last world. Like, why are you still telling Sonic he's not ready for it?
Yeah, well,
it was with the computer, yeah.
I think the villain was like, oh, collect all the Chaos Emeralds, save the Titans and like the towers because you had to do all of that to release it to begin with. I thought actually it was the bad guy, the Void, that actually trapped all of Sonic's friends, not Sage. But then it said that Sage trapped all of them, which was kind of strange to me, to be fair. What else? And also, I really like that the enemy is the Void, the end, because it says, like, chaos is life, and everything eventually comes to nothing, the neutral state of nothing, and I thought that was a good opposite for chaos.
Fair enough, sure.
There was a weird thing about the villain, is like, so it's this voice that Sonic hears pretty much immediately upon arriving at Starfall Islands, and, like, it tells him to, like, kill the Titans. And then you find out later that the Titans were actually made by the Ancients to protect the Earth from whatever the end is. And it's like never revealed that like Sonic accidentally helped the villain. they don't discuss that at all.
Yeah, they do kind of express that later, but not directly. But Sonic has a couple of conversations with Sage that they both kind of screwed up.
Yeah.
Because they didn't trust each other. So it is kind of talked about in optional conversations.
Yeah, Sonic says like it's too late for both of us to say sorry. We just got to focus on what's going on.
Yeah, so that's pretty much them implying like we both screwed up because Sage not communicating with Sonic caused him to do all the bad things. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so frustrating. Like Sonic being like, "Just explain to me what you're talking about." No, I won't explain it to you because you're my enemy. Goodbye.
I understand why the Void didn't ever specify with Sonic, because it was using Sonic as a tool, so it's not going to specify because it's trying to trick him. But
Obviously.
with Sage, I guess you could chalk that up to Sage who doesn't trust Sonic.
Not to mention Eggman probably programming parameters in her head, like don't talk to the enemy.
Right, and also when she told Tails, perhaps it's kinder that you don't know.
Absolutely. But yeah, I love the fact that Eggman programs Sage not to talk to Sonic, not to give information to the enemy, and yet he's more than happy to give all his secrets to Big the Cat. I guess Big the Cat isn't his enemy.
We all know Big surpasses Sonic's abilities, but I like the conversation between Sage and Tails. I thought that was cool. Also, it was funny how they were both basically like, yeah, you know, one intellectual to another. Sonic is pretty cool. It's kind of fucking... It was silly. I don't know.
Yep.
Can I say also that stage kind of reminded me of Cosmo?
I haven't seen too much of Sonic X yet, so I can't comment.
Well, mostly her design. It's like, I don't know, just something about her reminded me of Cosmo.
Yeah, the same haircut. That's true. Yeah.
At least
Yeah,
Tails
similar
didn't fall in love
haircuts.
with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
He
fair
didn't
enough.
need to lose another girlfriend.
And both sacrifice themselves at the end. Yeah, and both have a
Yep.
chance of resurrection. So yeah, there's a lot of connection to them. I know, and even I haven't seen much of Sage yet. I mean, of
I think
Cosmo.
Cosmo.
Sorry.
I was about to say, like, you finished the game. I mean, yeah.
Sorry, it's getting tired.
What game have you been playing? That's not Sonic Frontiers. Yeah.
I have also been accidentally replacing a lot of names and Sonic titles with Frontiers just because it's on my brain.
Forces of Frontiers, yeah.
Well, they
Starts the
both
same.
start with F, so
Yeah.
that's easy to...
Yeah, mix up.
Yeah.
But what if
Also,
the game was
Sonic-
still called Rangers? That would be the weird name because there's nothing really Rangers about it, except for the ancients being Power Rangers for a bit in space. For just a brief moment.
Oh, Amy, Tails, and Knuckles took control of the other Titans to fight the end. That's another alternative.
That would have
Oh,
been
yeah.
cool if that happened.
It
Oh
would
my
be
gosh,
a lot.
that
there's
would-
so many ways
that would
to
have been
improve
awesome.
the end.
But alas.
I really do think it just needed a little bit more to be more satisfying, but we don't have that, which is why I'm hoping for a Remind-ish DLC.
Yeah, it's clear Sonic Team doesn't quite have the budget. They have bigger plans than they have money for.
I know. Like that's what's wrong with Sonic. That like spectacle is the main thing about Sonic, but spectacle costs money.
You know
Yeah.
what? I think maybe that's why Sonic might succeed in other mediums, is because in video games, spectacle is really expensive, but maybe not as much in, say, like a comic or a TV show or movie.
That's
But-
true. For a comic, does really matter if they're talking.
Yeah, I mean, you
or-
could get a lot in a single panel. I'm not saying animation is easy by any means, but I feel like, as well with video games and stuff, you got to code all these actions and things, whereas with
Right.
like animation, you have to draw it. So
That's why a lot of superhero comics, that's why a lot of comics were superhero stuff, because the technology wasn't there yet to portray all that cool fantasy stuff.
Makes sense to me, yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
how many copies have been sold. How successful has Frontiers been?
I did see something pop up on my Twitter post, something about BGS or BCS or something. I can't remember. Apparently, it's the I wish I remembered, paid attention to it, but I ended up scrolling past it.
Well, it has to sell a lot because they spend a lot of time on marketing. I see so many YouTube ads for it. Sorry, Euan, I'm talking through you.
Yeah. And BGC, it's called. Sonic Frontiers has smashed the series record for concurrent players on Steam, nearly doubling the record set by Sonic Mania 5 years ago.
Nice.
That's pretty
cool.
pretty dang successful then.
At least for Steam. But I suppose because it's like, hey guys, we've already got mods up. Really? Click.
Yeah, I would like to try some mods.
Yeah, I mean,
And there's already a mod that lets you play as Blaze the Cat.
Oh, really?
oh really?
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
or the SA1 version of Sonic from the Dreamcast.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
modders are gonna have a field day with this one.
Yeah,
There,
or
there's
swap-
apparently a mod to make Sonic look like Homestar Runner.
Yeah.
And
that
then the
mod-
Neon Genesis,
Yeah, that
one
one.
it turns it into one of the Titans into an Evangelion.
Yes.
I'm
I think
surprised they
it's-
haven't had Link Sonic in here yet from Lost World. That would make too
Oh
much
yeah,
sense.
they could do that as well. That'd be so fitting.
Thought that was going to be something they added to the Switch version.
That'd be a good DLC outfit. Sonic's Link costume.
I know.
Nice.
It's just that when you said like Link, I assumed you meant like swapping Sonic out with actually Link and just seeing him blast through the whole area at breakneck speed, going.
You already do that in speedruns. Have you seen speedruns of Breath of the Wild? They just
Yeah.
Oh my
all
god,
the way
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Rock launch. Whoa!
Well, then again, they did have a Sonic Generations mod where you played as Professor Pickle.
Oh, nice.
Right.
I always loved
I
when the
love
humans
that
are
one.
playable. The Sonic World has like a Maria and the Gun Commander playable. I love that. You still see spin dashing and all that. I love that.
They look so wonky when they're actually moving. I love it.
I like Eggman as well. That's a good one.
Ah, cool stuff. I love
I
it.
think I remember Roger playing at least one version of a game as the gun commander, just running at breakneck speed. Like,
Yeah.
get out of the way, fools!
Good stuff. I love it.
Yeah, there was also kind of thing like with Gun appearing in the cyber worlds. It's like, oh, whoa, look at that. That's Gun. What's he
That's
doing here?
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Finally
nice.
got
He
to
was
see
just
Gun, even a little bit.
Bit of a pity though, like none of the actual sort of proper gun robots. It's just tanks and attack choppers.
I thought it was a shame they didn't put in the truck.
No.
Yeah, missed opportunity. Oh well.
I
Mm.
didn't know you could fly on one of those bird things. I'm gonna have to remember that for next time.
It looks more useful than it really is because you have to get it on a good height because you can't fly higher up with it, and it controls terrible. Like, I was
Yeah.
desperately trying to use it, but I never got it to work properly.
Great, love that. Yeah, the rapidly tapping the RT button, Sonic 06 strats, kind of trivializes the a lot of the boost mechanics, but it's cool.
I do more of the infinity sign.
Oh hey, that does look cool.
Oh, the Blaze the Cat.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And the person who made it said that they intend to expand upon it by like turning Supersonic into Burning Blaze, like recoloring the effects
To
and
orient it to, like,
adding
fire
the voice.
powers.
Yeah.
Nice.
That would be cool. There's actually I like the game for how much detail is packed into the game as well, because there are certain voice lines that none of us have heard yet, and there's a lot of detail on the world building. Just I really like how packed to the brim this game is, even though it seems unpolished in some places. And yeah, I really hope, I don't know if they can fix this in a patch, but I really hope they fix the pop-in. It's super bad.
Poppin'?
Yeah, it's when stuff, you know, when you're running around and all of a sudden you'll get, like, you'll see a loop or a platform just appear right in front of you.
Oh.
Pop in.
Yeah. I play Final Fantasy XIV, which is a MMORPG, and that happens all the time, so I guess I'm just kind of numb to it.
I didn't mind it too much. Like, it didn't really ruin the game for me, but for some people, they said it was very immersion breaking.
It didn't bother me too much, but yeah, it depends. I mostly play still retro games, so I guess I'm still used to more pop-ins. But yeah, plenty to mod. And it's definitely the Sonic game with the most content we had in a long time, so 30 cyberspace levels, lots of stuff to do in the open world. Yeah. Good stuff. I just hope the next game is going to have some towns or cities.
Yeah, I'd say for what it is, Frontiers was definitely the game that we needed at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah. As we keep saying, this game was a step in the right direction. Now let's hope the next step is forward.
Yes.
You never know with
Oh,
Sonic
like-
Team.
It'll be called
Steps
Sonic
forward
Ball.
and no steps back.
As it stands, it's still one of my favorite Sonic games, if not my favorite. I like it a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is up there. One of my favorite Sonic games. It might be better than Unleashed.
That's how I feel.
Blasphemy!
What did you just say there?
Like for different reasons. I
who likes Sonic Unleashed?
I think Sonic Unleashed is the better Sonic game, but I think this might be the better game.
No, fair
Correct.
enough. That
I
makes sense.
agree.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, imagine it is if they made a mod that Sonic got replaced with Werehog Sonic.
Yeah, have fun running for 1,000,000 years in the overworld.
Oh god, no.
And it's always full moon! I know that's not the thing how it works, but yeah, you get it.
Also, really interesting how they have the day-night cycle now. That was supposed to be an original thing, an original option in Sonic 06, and they actually got to integrate it in a Sonic game.
Hooray!
Yay!
Yeah, it was actually pretty
Good
cool.
one.
So like even affects cutscenes.
Mm-hmm.
So
I really like how the game looks. Even if it's a little jank sometimes. I played on low quality, and even then, sometimes I was stunned by the lighting. Because that's Hedgehog Engine's strength. I'm sorry, Hedgehog Engine 2's strength. It just built off of Hedgehog Engine 1. And Forces looked really bad despite being in Hedgehog Engine 2 because they really did not take any real-world reference for any of the lighting, and they didn't try very much because it was a budget game. But in this game, Sonic looks so much better. Right shade of blue, doesn't look completely ugly whenever it's a sunset setting. He actually looks nice.
There you go. All right, I'm getting a little tired, so I think it's about time we wrap this up. Any last thoughts anyone has about this game?
I'm good.
I just hope there's DLC because I need more of it.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, DLC is
Yes.
welcomed.
And
Well,
patches.
there's always going to be unofficial DLC through mods, so that's at least one thing to look for. If you have the PC version, anyway.
Yeah.
Although the Switch
Yeah.
version also had mods, I think.
Yeah, probably.
So
Don't
there
know.
you go.
Just a small
Which ones?
question, like for the future of this game, well, the story and such. Do you guys hope that the story will continue from this game? Like that Sage will return in some way, that Tails, Amy, and Knuckles come back, that they had their own adventure thing, and
100%.
yeah, all right.
That
Absolutely.
would be
That-
nice, but I think the only thing they might do is bring Sage back.
Yeah. Which is definitely the thing I'm most looking forward to because, again, she's the breakout character of this game.
What I especially like about her as an Eggman villain is that she both nails being creepy and dangerous and also being cute and funny in a way. So she kind of gets both the scary part of Eggman and the funny part of Eggman right. While like Orba the Cubot are only funny and they don't really work threatening. And Infinite doesn't really work as a funny character. Well, except in parodies, I guess. So I think
yeah.
Sage is
Yeah.
really good add-on on Eggman.
And can I just say that she's probably one of, if not the only, companion, like, sidekick of Eggman that actually cares about his well-being.
Pretty
Yeah.
much. Yes.
Orbot
Yeah.
and Cubot kind of do in the Boom cartoon, but it hardly counts.
Yeah. And I guess there's Agent Stone, but like,
Seriously, Sage is even better than Agent Stone, which I didn't think was possible.
yeah.
Yeah, with Agent Stone and Sage, Eggman is getting way better sideback kicks finally.
Yeah. Sage does something that no other sidekick did, except maybe for Stone, which is humanizing Eggman, kind of expanding upon him emotionally, which I never expected that for Eggman ever.
Yeah, that was
Of course,
nice.
they tried to do it in Lost World, but Lost World's bad at everything, so of course it didn't work out.
Also, I do have to mention Scratch and Grounder also cared about Robotnik. They were just very terrible at doing it, but they tried.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
have
I guess
to
I
be
should
fair.
clarify by saying, like, who actually cares about his well-being and is competent in keeping him safe.
There you go.
Yeah. Because, Scratch and Grounder cared. Deco and Boko were competent. But Sage is both of those.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. No wonder why Eggman's so proud of her.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah,
here's cheers
I
to a
can't
lot
wait
of more Stone and Sage. Yeah? Sorry, Euan?
Can't wait to see more of Sage.
More S names means good character.
Yeah.
Sonic's Shadow, Silver, Stone,
Surge.
Sage. There you go.
Surge, yeah.
Scourge? Question mark?
Surge,
I don't
I
know
think.
enough
No,
about Scourge.
Surge.
Sticks? Question marks?
Sticks can be well written if you know how to write her, but
There
if
you
you
go.
don't, then it's embarrassing.
What about you, Ewan? What's your
Sniveling?
thought?
Oh yeah, Euan, what your final thoughts?
Well, from what I've played so far, I've had a good time with it.
No, I mean like the future, like
Which one? What?
I mean like the future of what's going to be
Oh,
happening next. This is what I just mentioned.
All right, me. I just don't know.
Are you looking forward to it if there is like a continuity to this game? Like, are you hoping that Sage will return, or like there's development with Knuckles, Amy, and Tails?
Well, hopefully so. I mean, obviously, if we get some word that like Ian Flynn is doing the next game, then obviously, he will obviously keep up the continuity of the whole thing. Because
I hope
that's
Ian Flynn
because that's what
continues.
he's good at doing, is keeping up continuity. As Roger says, he's like Sega's janitor, having to clean up after them every time they make a game.
And I absolutely want to see what Sage is like with Orbit Cubot, since they're her brothers, basically. They
Yeah,
can't-
that's what she said,
Just
right?
mentioned
Yeah.
that, yeah.
They could have a fun dynamic with each other.
Hmm.
But we'll see.
You know, Orbot was calling Metal Sonic his big brother in Colors the Ultimate, the
Yeah.
Rise of the Wisps, so maybe we could get some sibling stuff going on between them. Maybe even sibling rivalry would be fun.
Oh boy.
We were first, we're better.
Robotnik gets his own army of Koopa kids, except then Orbot a Cubot, a Metal Sonic, a Sage. It's very bunch, at least. At this point, just get Scratch and Grounded in there as well. Why not? Whole bunch of dysfunctional family.
I'd be glad. Scratch and Ground,
Robotic family. Da 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 da.
Bong, bong.
Muted. Darn it, I was muted, so you didn't hear my snaps.
I did this one. Yeah. And what about you, Roger?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have big thoughts. I hope Ian Flynn continues. Like I said before, the quality of this game is going to depending on how it's going to be followed up on. Because it's very much a bridge game. It feels really like it's like slapping the games before this in the face. Like, hey, you screwed up. Here's how you make those characters right. So now it's really going to be dependent on how it's going to be followed up on. And if that's well, then this game is going to go down in history as the moment Sonic got back on his track. And if not, then it's going to be a bit of an embarrassing side branch. We'll see. I don't dare to make any predictions at the moment. All I'm saying is, if we're going to get another open zone game, it better have towns and cities in there.
Yeah.
So, especially with how many mini games are in this game. Like, it feels like they really could do like a Yakuza thing.
They did with the fishing
more of a
almost.
bridge game, personally.
Sorry?
I think Forces was more of a bridge game.
Yeah,
A bridge?
Yeah, to a degree. It felt, yeah, it's kind of like Sonic Unleashed, like half Adventure era, half Boost era. And Sonic 4 is kind of half this and half Boost era, yeah. I see what you mean. We'll see. We'll see. So, that concludes this stream. I'm getting a little tired, so my brain doesn't work 100% anymore.
Yeah.
Elise and Erin, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, it's always nice to have you.
Yeah, well, thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, always happy to be here. If you ever want us back, just let us know. And yeah.
And if you enjoyed listening to them, they have their own YouTube channel, Sonic Innovation, which I occasionally join myself as well as a guest. So, plenty of more Sonic talk there. I'll put a link in the description.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Captain Joe, thanks for joining me as usual.
Yeah, sure. I'm not the captain, but yeah.
Keep using your interchangeable. Like I said, my brain doesn't work at the moment. Sorry. And yeah, you thanks for drawing the thumbnail.
Even though I barely said much, at least it was good to listen to all you guys gush about it. Obviously shows it's a good sign of a good game.
There you go. So you have a lot to look forward to. But you also have Island 3 to look forward to, so good luck with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure
form your own opinions regardless.
exactly. I'm sure by like the next sort of stream and after I probably got to there, I'll be saying like, it wasn't that bad, Roger. It's like, and you'll be like, yes, it is. It was terrible.
From now on, I never trust your judgment ever again, Euan.
That's like me with 06 when I say, "Oh, it's not that bad," and then people just
Explode
like,
in rage.
yeah.
Yeah. They're
Or
saying
look
like,
at me
are
as
you
if I'm weird, and I'm like, "Well, actually, you know what? I am weird, so thank you."
My
They'd be like,
opinion is threatened
"Why
by
have you been
someone else.
smoking?"
Yeah, sorry, Euan, go ahead.
No, just saying like, why have you been smoking?
I don't smoke, as a matter of fact.
My fragile worldview has been challenged.
Yeah.
I'm fine if people disagree with me about this game. Like, there are people who are crapping on it more than I am, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I even enjoyed Colors Ultimate more than other people did, despite how horribly buggy that mess is. So yeah, it's just a case-by-case whatever. But yeah, if you hate this game, I kind of get why, but if you like it, I completely understand why.
Agreed, except for Sonic Colors Ultimate.
That was my first time actually playing Sonic Colors, and I was like, I still had fun, whatever.
Oh, there
And
you go.
honestly, I did not care about the bugs in this game as much because we got Colors Ultimate. And kind of our conclusion for Colors Ultimate that we made in our video was that we said we wonder if this was just a thrown together piece of crap mess just to give more time to Frontiers. And I'm starting to think that was the case.
Possibly. Although when I say I hate Sonic Colors Ultimate, I mean I hate Sonic Colors in general, and the glitches don't even bother me too much. But that's a different story. But hey,
Here's the thing, Roger. When I first discovered your videos, you converted me over into not liking Sonic Colors. You
I'm
pointed
sorry.
out everything that was wrong with it, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's right. I knew
Yeah,
something
you
was
are
up with
right.
it, but man.
Not my favorite, but not my least favorite.
Yeah.
But of course, everyone's free to have their own opinion. I don't feel threatened
they're
by
not.
anyone else disagreeing with me.
No, they're not. Screw you if you don't agree with everything I say.
Either way, Sonic Frontiers is inspiring me for a new parody, so that's coming up soon. So that's all
Yay.
good. Hooray!
Yeah. Yeah, that one. Can't wait for that one.
Yes, excited. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, see you all later. Thanks for joining me. Oh, and thanks for joining me, Sylvia.
Thank you for letting me join. It was quite fun to actually be able to talk along, knowing what was going to be talked about, because I actually played the game and watched along with Roger. So, and also I got the bragging rights to finish the end boss while Roger couldn't. Ah!
Yeah, exactly.
I had to beat that boss for him. He was like, this is too annoying. I'm gonna quit now. I'm just gonna watch your YouTube video of this. And I was like, I grabbed the controller. I finished off the what's he called? The Supreme Titan. Then I went to that battle. Like after several tries, I was like, yes, I did it. I finished it. This is so satisfying to finish it. Instead of seeing Roger walk off like that, like Roger.
I'm
So I
surprised, you,
finished.
I'm surprised you didn't say, in your face, Roger, I beat the final
I
boss.
kinda did, yeah. That's why I said, like, do I have bragging rights now? Yes, I have.
You should be happy I gave up, otherwise if I kept playing I would probably throw the PlayStation across the room.
The actual PlayStation. Do you know how heavy that thing is?
It's the PlayStation 4. It's a bit lighter than the PlayStation
Oh,
5,
okay.
probably.
Yeah, I have the PlayStation 5. It's pretty heavy. So-
Yeah, same.
I would
Throwing it
have to
out the
lift up my
window and some
tower.
kid going like, oh hey, a free PS4, thank you.
I'm like, you throw it out and you hit somebody in the head.
Oh, one of the neighbor kids. That would be satisfying.
Yeah, by gaming.
I'm sorry.
No, you should be sorry. He deserves it, the kid. He's
No, I'm sorry that I just keep bringing up these like violent images.
We're messed
worry
up
about
people, apparently.
Sonic Frontiers makes us aggressive.
I actually did see a comment that someone made where it's like the thing that Sonic was missing, violence.
Oh, yeah.
Where is the violence?
But yeah, I think Roger wants to add now. So thank you everyone for joining. All the viewers, thank you very much. And yeah.
And since Luke and Melting Man are not here, cheerio and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheerio. Cheerio. Yeah.
Noodle pip.
And we're offline.